One Piece is not only notorious for being a story with a lot of characters, but also for how quirky and weird and just stupidly powerful most of these characters actually get. So I thought to myself that it might be a fun project over the holidays, to sit down and figure out one fun fact about each single One Piece character, and then quickly found out that obviously there aren't actually a lot of One Piece characters. There's a ton of them. Look at this spreadsheet. Look at it. Anyways, I quickly wanted to share my pain about how much of our time went into making this video, but let's now really get this party started. Roger named his son Ace after his own supreme great sword. This guy fist bumping to Roger's announcement about the One Piece is actually named Anjo. Oh, by the way, if you haven't noticed already, we're gonna go roughly in order of appearance for all of these characters. Roughly, just so we have like an order here. Where was I? Ben Beckman has the highest IQ in the entire East Blue. In the anime, Yasop's name is actually misspelled as Yasop with 2 S's. Shanks received his signature scar over his eye from none other than Blackbeard. Lucky Roo is commonly thought to be the fastest character in One Piece, even though Oda has not at all confirmed this. In Nami's original character design by Oda, she actually wielded a giant battle axe. Luffy is often seen wearing the number 56, which can be read as Gomu in Japanese, matching the name of his devil fruit. Monster the monkey is not just a pet, he's a senior officer of Shanks' crew and one of its musicians. And Monster's musical partner is named Bonk Punch. Hongo is the red-haired pirate's doctor, and Lime Juice is just a generic officer. Come on, man, get a job. Mikio Ito here is one of Oda's first joke background characters who he drew as a caricature of fellow mangaka Mikio Ito, and his wanted poster is actually given in yen instead of berry, which is the actual currency in One Piece, of course. Even though the entire fandom is pretty sure that Shanks is Makino's baby daddy, it's actually just a headcanon and not at all confirmed. After Higuma reveals his bounty, we actually don't get another confirmed amount for another bounty until that of Arlong. Gyoru is a fishmonger whose name is close to a word for fish in Japanese, gyo. And Chicken is his wife. Chicken and fish, get it? Whoopslap, the mayor of Fusha Village, ranked as the 37th most popular character in the global popularity One Piece poll, surely not thanks to any interference by a certain Australian YouTuber. The Lord of the Coast is the first Sea King to ever appear in the series. The name of Alvida's original ship, the Love Duck, may be a reference to the fairy tale The Ugly Duckling, mirroring her changed appearance during Loketown. Hepoko, Pepoko, and Popoko, the Alvida crewmates that accidentally save Luffy from the barrel, are actually triplet brothers. Now, the 4Kids dub really didn't want to hurt Kobe. They removed the scene of Luffy punching him during their first meeting and edited the scene where Helmeppo holds him at gunpoint as well. Zoro's very unusual first name comes from the real-world French pirate called François l'Olonais. Helmeppo's biggest hobby is fashion. Now, that we could probably tell. Axen Morgan is the first character to refer to Luffy as Straw Hat. Rika's birthday is June 18th, which fittingly is also known in Japan here as Onigiri Day. Helmeppo's pet wolf's name is Zoro, which technically makes Zoro's first fight in the series, Zoro versus Zoro, and Rika's mother is actually named Ririka. This marine, Rokaku, was one of Axen Morgan's subordinates at Shelltown, and his friend Ukari was also certainly glad to see Axen Morgan go too. Now, while Shimotsuki Koshiro's parents are from Wano country, he was actually already born in the East Blue in Shimotsuke Village. In all 3 of the English dubs, Kuina does share a voice actress with Tashigi. And in addition, both characters are actually named after types of flightless birds. I'm very curious. The absolute bro of a marine who saluted Luffy and Zoro at Shellstown is actually called Ripper. Now, Oda has revealed in an interview that Buggy is actually his favorite villain in the entire series. The giant bird that grabs Luffy and carries him to Orangetown actually has a name, Pinky. Domokun is another one of Oda's joke characters, originally created for his short story God's Gift for the Future, but then showing up as a member of the Buggy Pirates. Kabaji's favorite food is popcorn. Good thing he's in the circus. Now, Moji was the first mate of the Buggy Pirates, which, me personally, I always thought it was Kabaji since that's who Zoro fought, but you never finish learning, I guess. Richie, the lion's name, is probably a reference to the singer Lionel Richie, cause you get it? Lionel. Despite often, just being referred to as the mayor of Orangetown, this guy's name is actually Boodle. Chocho's devotion to the pet shop is likely inspired by the story of Hachiko, the famous dog who's commemorated commemorated at Shibuya Station for his lifelong dedication to his late owner, and it's also where all the foreigners are meeting up in Shibuya. Chocho's owner was named Hawker, by the way, and Poro was the town's bookseller and friend to Boodle. Now, Rayleigh's name could either come from the explorer Sir Walter Raleigh or for the effect of Rayleigh scattering, a phenomenon in which light scatters, possibly alluding to his fight against Kizaru. My favorite character of all time, Scopper Gaban's name probably comes from the metal copper, continuing the trend of the heads of the Roger crew being named after Gold, Roger, Silver's Rayleigh, and then Copper. Scopper. One of the many rare animals on the island of rare animals is Kokox, a cross between a fox and a rooster, or otherwise known as a Gaimon has a girlfriend named Sarfunkel, referencing the musical group Simon and Garfunkel. Hello, darkness, my old friend. And he's joined by Leon Buta, the pig lion. Again, that's a Japanese name for lion and pig. Then Kirin Kodanuki, a giraffe mixed with a something, probably a tanuki, and Usagi Hebi, the rabbit snake. Bet you didn't know they all had names, huh? It's just the words of the animals in Japanese meshed together, basically. Fitting for someone who struggled with illness throughout their entire life, Kaya is studying to become a doctor. Captain Kuro's favorite food is bananas. The mayor of Syrup Village is actually named Mornin, probably because that's when he's hearing Usopp yelling about pirates. The names of the Usopp pirates mean carrot, pepper, and onion in Japanese, making Carrot's translated name one of the few characters that share their name with a second character. Usopp's long nose is inspired by Pinocchio, whose nose grows every time he tells a lie. Mary is the very first civilian character to have his own Jolly Roger. Django, the hypnotist, is modeled after Michael Jackson and can even be seen doing Jackson's signature moonwalk. In the live-action series, the Black Cat brothers became the Black Cat siblings, with Sham being cast as a woman. In this version, Bucci and Sham remain loyal up to their defeat instead of trying to attack Kuro. Now, the fake Captain Kuro caught by the Marines was actually the Black Cat shipwright Nugire Yainu, which is also funny because Yainu obviously has the word inu for dog in it in Japanese, so, you know, the cat kind of throwing the dog under the bus, basically. Building Snake here is the red hair pirate's navigator and fights by juggling his swords. Usopp's mother was actually named Banchina. The Going Merry is a type of ship called a caravel. After Arlong Park, Johnny and Yosaku gave up the bounty hunting life to become fishermen in Kokoyashi Village. An image of Yosaku with scurvy was once featured in a grade school French science textbook as an example of how to treat the very illness. The fly that Full Body puts in his soup at Baratier actually has a name. It's Bachi, which is a wordplay because Hachi means bee, another insect, and then Bach is the sound you make when you smash, you know, a fly. Full Body is the only known Marine to get demoted, in his case from lieutenant to a seaman recruit. And the woman that Full Body took on a date to Baratier only for her to get rizzed up by Sanji is named Moody, who most people don't know later became an Aura in the Harry Potter universe as a side job. Mutzel, another Baratier customer, has a bad habit of stealing food from other people's plates. Sanji's original name in the story was gonna be Naruto, which was then changed, of course, once Masahi Kishimoto started the series Naruto, and Oda was like, you can't do that, probably would not work out that well. Despite being a gourmet chef, Zeph's favorite food is actually some good old spicy chicken wings. Get this man to Buffalo ASAP, please. Don Krieg shares his Japanese voice actor with Akainu. Yeah. Talk about a promotion. The Vegapunk broadcast also revealed that Krieg and Gin have ended up on Hachinosu, presumably as part of Blackbeard's fleet. This subordinate of Full Body is named Alliance. Oh yeah, Panda Man is one of the most prominent Easter eggs in all of One Piece, appearing hidden in the background of hundreds of manga chapters, and very often when you take away the cover, you know, like this one here, he is hidden in a lot of places. There he is, right there. Almost in every volume. Patty's name comes from his role as pâtissier, a chef specializing in pastries. Meanwhile, Carne's name means meat in Spanish, carne, because he's the Baratier's charcutier, a chef specializing in preserved and prepared meats. Sanji always remembers the names of his female customers, of course, as is the case with Roxanne, who just barely appears in the series. Before becoming one of the 7 warlords, Mihawk was called the Marine Hunter. Belmer's marine rank is unknown, but given that she's wearing a marine jacket in her flashback, she was very likely at least a captain or even higher. In the anime, Pearl's fire appears blue, but in the colored manga, it's a normal orange color. Dawn Creek's staff officer of planning is likely just named Idea Man. Their combat instructor is named Hustle, and their locksmith is named Kagiko, which is just the, key kit in Japanese. And wow, I mean, their fleet really was big if they had a dedicated locksmith. Why do the Straw Hats not have a locksmith? The creature that carried Yosaku back to Baratie to deliver a message about Nami is called Panda Shark. According to an SBS, Jinbei has the highest alcohol tolerance amongst all the Straw Hats, which is fairly surprising given that Zoro and Nami are on the crew as well. Arlong is the only known character to be ever released from Impel Down, which occurred when Jinbei became a member of the Warlords. The young boy who works for Nojiko on the farm is named Chabo, to which I can only tell my German viewers, Chabos wissen, wer der Babo ist. Chu is the first opponent that Usopp beats all by himself, something that would not happen again until Perona. No one in One Piece has ever commented on how odd it is that Hachan sells takoyaki, fried balls of octopus meat. Kurobi's name means black belt, very fitting for a fisherman martial artist. Nezumi is directly responsible for Luffy being issued his first ever bounty. And Usopp is actually the very first Straw Hat we see interact with Nojiko. And interestingly enough, their respective voice actors star as the lead roles Shinichi Kudo and Ran Mori in Detective Conan. Genzo's pinwheel inspires part of Nami's shoulder tattoo, which also features a tangerine representing Belmare. Arlong's shipwright is named Kaneshiro, and not to be confused with Avalo Pizarro, will we get to later, Pizarro is the Arlong Pirates musician who rocks out on the maracas. Momu is not actually classified as a sea king, he's just a very large aquatic mammal. And another not to be confused character, this marine with the wackiest hairstyle of all time, is named Pudding Pudding. And we all know that Arlong loves to party, which is why Shioyaki was their head of banquets. Why do the Straw Hats not have a head of banquets? Maybe it's Luffy, I don't know. And they also have an official commander of parties, Take. Nako is Kokoyashi's doctor, treating both Zoro and Nami, but he's a man of many talents since he also did Nami's tattoo. Then Minatomo was introduced in an SBS to explain how the door at Party's bar was actually magically repaired in Chapter 1. We'll actually be seeing another Minatomo later, keep it in mind. The names of the orphanage caretaker who tried to take in Nami and Nojiko were named Daddy D and Mommy Me. Bogart's detective-like appearance is likely a reference to the American actor Humphrey Bogart. In the Romance Dawn one-shot, it was Garp who gave Luffy his straw hat instead of Shanks. He was actually also a pirate in the early version of the story. There, you have 2 fun facts, breaking my own rule here. Sam, the town drunk of Kokoyashi Village, also makes a sneaky appearance in Alabasta. According to Oda, he was there for his daughter's wedding. Casually entering the Grand Line, I guess, which supposedly is very hard, but hey, maybe he has those skills. Now, despite there being multiple non-canon Billies in the anime and movies, the true one Billy is an unseen pirate captured by Smoker. Commodore Branu is arguably one of the most hyped characters in the series. Why? Because he assigns the new bounties that we all get so excited about. And this cool sunglass guy has the very strange name Vice Admiral Cancer. Then, since he's present during the creation of Luffy's first bounty, John Giant is actually the first canon giant to appear in One Piece, beating out Dory and Broggy. Koze and Paki wanted to avenge the Captain Billy, but should not have picked a fight with Tashigi. This Vice Admiral's actual name is Stainless, but in the anime he was originally called Kaizeru Hige before his name was revealed in the manga. Kaizeru Hige, by the way, means handlebar mustache in Japanese, so it kinda makes sense. Along with Smoker, Tashigi has appeared in more sagas of One Piece than any character other than the Straw Hats themselves. And another character named after their hair is Hanger, who sells clothes to Nami and whose hair looks like, yes, a clothes hanger. The husband and wife who sell Zoro his new swords in Loketown are named Ipponmatsu and Ipponume, though the 4 kids dub turned his wife into his mother instead. Smoker's Plume Plume fruit is the first Logia fruit we see in One Piece, and Smoker's subordinate Mashikaku must have gotten transferred because he's nowhere to be seen by the point we reach Punk Hazard. Sapi, who sold Sanji the bluefin elephant tuna, is the first known half-fishman, half-human character in the series. The little girl who bumps into Smoker with her ice cream is named Yu, and during Egghead Island it was confirmed that Dragon was once a Marine before defecting to start the Freedom Fighters and then later the Revolutionary Army. And breaking my rule again for a monkey character, Dragon is the last character we ever meet in the East Blue, but even though we're already over 100 characters in, we have so many more to go. On to Reverse Mountain. Crocus is named after the flower of the very same name, which matches the petals around his head. Plus, the crocus is also sometimes used for medical purposes, matching Crocus's job as a doctor. One of the most egregious 4Kids deletions is the total removal of Laboon, possibly to avoid connotations of whale hunting practices, but no official reason has ever been given. 4Kids gonna 4Kids, you know? Sometimes when you join a crime syndicate, you end up finding the love of your life. And Mr. 9 is now married to Ms. Monday, and they have a child together named Nunday. Ms. Wednesday, aka Vivi, wasn't originally supposed to be the Princess of Alabasta, but Oda then changed her backstory after realizing that she looked very princess-like with her hair down, and she could tie into the upcoming Alabasta saga. The disease that claimed Yorkie's life resembles the tree fever from Shandia. However, it's not officially confirmed that they're actually the same disease. Miss Friday and Miss 13 are likely called the Unluckies because of their connection to Friday the 13th. In the Japanese and 4Kids dub, Igaram shares a voice actor with his nearly identical looking wife, Terracotta. Not to be confused with the Rowan Atkinson character, this child member of the Millions is named Mr. Beans. Yeah, actually. And his partner was the fake nun Miss Katarina, the perfect pair to get pirates to let their guard down. And one of the only other named Millions members on Whiskey Peak is Mr. Shimizu, an alcoholic who tried to get Sanji drunk. Karu's name comes from karugamo, the Japanese word for a spot-billed duck. Miss Valentine's birthday is fittingly on, yes, Valentine's Day. And despite having the power to cause explosions, Mr. Five's dream is actually hold your horses to become a firefighter. Two very likely inspirations for Crocodile's character are Captain Hook from Disney's Peter Pan and Blofeld from the James Bond franchise. In the Odin backstory, it's revealed to us that Blackbeard doesn't sleep. The tortoise that Miss All Sunday uses for transport and that I desperately hope we see again someday is named Banshee. Robin is the only Straw Hat to not be formally invited to join the crew, and she's also the first person to stow away on the Straw Hat ship. Another character only revealed in the SBS, Teru, is a carpenter who remodeled the sparsely used women's quarters on the Going Merry into a bar. The dinosaur cooked and eaten by Dorian Broggy is fittingly named Brontosaurus. Not too creative on that one, I guess. And another character we haven't seen in the story is Louis Arnott, the author of Bragman, a book owned by Nami and also seen in the library of Ohara. Dory and Broggy were both likely named after professional wrestlers Dory Funk Jr. and Bruiser Brody. This is a bit of a trend shared by many of the Elbaf giants actually. Mr. 3 is the only known character to work under two different Warlords of the Sea, Crocodile and Buggy. Miss Golden Week and Mr. 4 are the only Baroque Works officer agents to not have a Devil Fruit power, and despite having very unique abilities, Oda has confirmed her power is more similar to hypnosis and does not actually come from a Devil Fruit. During Golden Week's cover story to free her comrades, you can see a man in swim trunks enjoying his vacation, and that guy's name is Samurai Bats. Hippie of the Endurance Curry Pirates was originally created as part of a weekly Shonen Jump contest, but during Vegapunk's message to the world, they were actually canonized into the actual series. Hippie's crewmates, Hirogomon and Skimitarta, however, were not designed by Oda, but created by his assistants. Mr. 11 possessed one of the graded Meito blades before it was confiscated by Tashigi. The giant goldfish known as the Island Eater is one of the earliest examples of Usopp's lies starting to come true. Akumai is the name of the Billions member who serves Mr. 2 Bonkure. And as an Okama, Mr. 2 Bonkure holds both of the Baroque Works male and female roles at the same time, because 2 is his number and Bonkure is a Japanese holiday, which makes him fit the rest of the Baroque Work pairs. His real name is not Bonkure though, it's actually Bentham. The girl responsible for Dorian Broggy's 100-year battle was named Yuki. Chess here is Walpole's Minister of Defense and Head of Staff. Meanwhile, Kuro Marimo is Walpole's Magistrate. Kuro Marimo, by the way, means black moss head, basically, like Marimo is what Sanji calls Zoro sometimes. Now, despite everything about his appearance, Walpole is, and again, crazy fact, only 27 years old during the Drum Island arc. Yeah, dude needs to skincare routine ASAP for real. Not counting Luffy, Dalton is the first zone-type Devil Fruit power we ever see in One Piece, you know, until we found out later that Luffy has a zone fruit, but that doesn't count, I think. Negikuma Maria's last name is Negikuma because she was collecting spring onions Negi, and Usopp mistook her for a bear, Kuma. Famed actress Jamie Lee Curtis actually lobbied to try and play Dr. Kureha in the live-action adaptation, but production schedules didn't allow for this casting to happen. Tamachibi, the kid that Dr. Kureha cures here, is the only named character in the town of Stool. What a great town name. Chopper's blue nose is inspired by the Christmas song, of course, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Robson's species is called a White Walkie, not to be confused with a White Walker from Game of Thrones, nor what Japanese call me when I do my Sunday walks along the river. The reason for Dr. Hirolook's unique hairstyle is to make his head resemble a medical cross. And it also kind of looks a little bit like that of Professor Clover. Weird, but hey. Nefertari Cobra is named after the snake species, the King Cobra. In Dalton's Reverie flashback, this king, known as the Lhasa Lucas, warns that Dragon will become a threat to the world government. And I think he was right. It is unknown what type of process Chess Marimo used to separate back into two people by the time of Walpole founding the evil Black Drum Kingdom. Yurika is the leader of the Tulip Pirates who appear in Django's cover story. So far, Ace is the only Logia fruit user to be confirmed to have Conqueror's Haki. Chaka's jackal form is based on the Egyptian god Anubis. Miss Doublefinger uses the alias name Paula, but her real name is Paula. Several Frontier agents are named by Vivi but are never seen in the series, including Miss Mother's Day and Mr. 6, Miss Saturday and Mr. 12, and Miss Thursday. Miss Tuesday and Mr. 10 also don't appear in the series, but strangely enough, we do have some concept art for them. At 3,200,000 berries, Mr. 4 has the lowest known bounty of any human in the series, not counting the joke bounty for Mikio Ito or Chopper. But Chopper is not, well, is he a human? He ate the human Pel's falcon form is based on the Egyptian god Horus, who has the head of a falcon. The pirate who gets bodied during Crocodile's introduction has the unfortunate name Poo-Poo. Edward Newgate, or Whitebeard, shares his namesake with Marshall D. Teach. The real-life Blackbeard's real name was Edward Teach. The owner of the restaurant Spice Bean, where Luffy ran into Ace and Smoker, is named Yoshimoto. Mr. Mellow, who leads the unsuccessful attack against Ace, is one of the only named members of the Billions. As a former bounty hunter, Mr. 1 is the only known bounty hunter in the series who has eaten a devil fruit. Lasu, the gun who ate a dog fruit, is the first known inanimate object to eat a devil fruit in the series. And he was partnered with Miss Merry Christmas, the first female character seen to have eaten a zone-type devil fruit herself. Despite being a camel, Eyelashes has been accepted as a member of the super spot-built Duck Squad. Agotogi here is the bandit who tries to kidnap a young Vivi. And even though she's only seen in a flashback, Koza's mother Aswa is not confirmed to be dead. Other than a brief encounter with Robin, Koza never actually meets any of the Straw Hats during the entire Alabasta saga. The other members of Koza's Sansan clan are named Okame, Kebi, and Nato. Nato, by the way, being the sticky fermented soybeans that some people really dislike, but I find surprisingly tasty. Superfood. Koza's dad Toto's name was changed to Tutu in the 4Kids dub, possibly to avoid licensing issues related to the dog from The Wizard of Oz, I guess. And a couple of other names of Koza's rebel army are Erik and Farafra. However, the shoeshine Kappa wasn't allowed in the army due to his young age. He does get an updated timeskip appearance despite his limited screen time though. The assistant manager of the Rain Dinners Casino randomly has one of the coolest names in all of One Piece. He's called Ultra Ultra King. Hina is the first Devil Fruit user to make her story debut in a cover story. Hasami, or scissors in Japanese, is the name of the giant crab that gives the Straw Hats a ride, because the word Hasami in Japanese means both crab claws and scissors. Also, another recurring joke background character is Tomato Gang, a debt collector who is after Panda Man. The names of the Super Spot Bill Duck Squad are Bourbon Jr., Cowboy, Hikoichi, Ivan X, Kentorus, and Stomp. The Goldfish Princess from Hachan's cover story has her only cover appearance in the video game One Piece Ocean Dream. Mr. 7 was killed by Zoro prior to the events of the story. Actually, the live action chose to include this event in the story as Zoro's introduction and to foreshadow Baroque works. Hachan meets Kami and Papak after he gets a sea boar that had swallowed them to throw them up. Kami is a Kissin Gurami mermaid, and her name might come from the first and last syllables of her fish species. The joke that Papak thought that he was human when he was young is because the Japanese word for starfish, hitode, is very similar to hitodesu, which means I am a human. The Tsumegiri guards who drank the hero water in an attempt to take down Crocodile were named Arrow, Beryl, Brahm, and Hyota. Spoiler, it did not work. The Macro Pirates, consisting of Macro, Gyaro, and Tansui, who continually try to kidnap Kami, are currently the smallest known crew in the entire series, discounting single-member crews like Mihawk. Octopako, who Hachan tried to get with in his cover story, is the first female fishman in the series and the only one to be named. The giant octopus that Hachan fights in the cover story was named Mash. While the new Mr. 7's design is totally covered in sevens, his partner, Miss Father's Day, is not covered in fathers, but in frogs for some reason. The Baroque Works member Mr. Love, who poses as a soldier in the Rebel Army, has the worst disguise ever because his jacket just says Baroque on it. It also says I heart Miss Valentine, which, understandable. The doctor for Alabasta's royal family is named Ho, which for my American audience there is a Japanese expression of surprise, not whatever you think it is. This marine working under Hina is named Shine. Vivi's maid has the extremely original name Maidi. Vivi's mother, Titi, yes, I know, likely gets her name from the Egyptian queen Nefertiti. Mako is another one of Hina's marine subordinates. Dr. Potsun must be a truly great doctor given that he helped Pell recover from, massive point-blank explosion. He's who Chopper should be aiming for. And boy, the Alabasta saga alone had pretty much already double the characters we had from the East Blue, but let's see how many more we can find up in the sky. Hi. I don't know, the sky shouldn't echo. I don't know why I did that. One of the most mysterious characters in the series, Willie Gallen, never actually appears. When the ship falls down from Skypiea, the narrator quotes this in-universe physicist. Masira's favorite food is bananas. Somehow, I think I could have guessed that. Bellamy's name comes from the real-life pirate Samuel Bellamy. Jesus Burgess shared his December 25th birthday with another Jesus who you might not have heard about. That guy's called Jesus Christ? Never heard of him. Anyways, the narrator cites a logbook entry about Mocktown from an unknown character called Jew Wall, and I don't know if that's a translation error or what's going on with that name exactly, but hey, that's what the official Viz says, so here we are, I guess. One of the data books showed that Roshio died in his fight with Bellamy, however, he's then later shown in the series to be alive. Sarkus's epithet is Big Knife due to the kukri that he wields. Then Augur is the only known member of the Blackbeard Pirates to originate from the East Blue. Doc Q's favorite food is apples, though Oda does specify that it's ones without bombs inside, which a little bit disappointing. The rest of Bellamy's crew consisted of the navigator Eddie, Chef Hewitt, Dr. Murray, and Sniper Rivers. And there are also the combatants Russ and Mani, and Lily with no specified position. Spectre is the one who owns the tropical hotel that Bellamy booked on Jaya. Stronger is most likely inspired by the pale horse that Death rides on in the Book of Revelations in the Bible. The man who served cherry pies to Luffy and Blackbeard is named Terry. because that rhymes, and this pirate who watched Bellamy take out Roshio is named Okome. Shoujo has the highest bounty in the entire Saruyama alliance. Mont Blanc Cricket's name most likely comes from a type of dessert made with chestnuts in Japan, very famous here, much like the ones growing out of his head. Nolan's inspiration probably partially comes from Francisco de Orellana, who popularized the myth of El Dorado, the city of gold. When the drunk character Jobo sees Luffy's new bounty, all of the stubble suddenly disappears from his face. Saint J. Garcia Saturn's name may be inspired by Jerry Garcia, lead guitarist and vocalist of the American rock band The Grateful Dead. Ethan Baron Venus Juro is the only character in One Piece that has a specified middle initial that is not the letter D. Unlike other transformations in the series, Shepherd Jew Peter Scar doesn't carry over to his sandworm form. Marcus Mars's appearance is likely based on the Meiji-era Japanese politician Itagaki Taisuke. And despite only having one head, Mercury's transformation is based on a Fengji, a mythical two-headed boar creature. Buggy's cover story, Searching for Captain John's Treasure, has him meet Master, this digging foreman. And fitting with the animal theme of the Seven Warlords, Kuma's name means bear in Japanese. By the way, bears going absolutely wild in Japan recently, probably because of the hot summers. Just a fun fact because it was on my mind. Doflamingo's feathery coat and glasses are inspired by French musician Michael Polnareff, who was also the namesake of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure character Polnareff. Before Josu's name was officially Romanized, translators disagreed, writing it in many options such as Joss, Jaws, and Jose, which would have been funny too. Lafitte's name likely comes from the real-life pirate brothers Jean and Pierre Lafitte, and Oda has confirmed that Marco's penis would regenerate if cut off thanks to his devil fruit abilities. Fun fact. The Vice Admiral manipulated by Doflamingo in his introduction is named Mozambia. Rockstar could actually be named after the energy drink since many red hair pirates have a beverage theme going in their names. Sengoku takes his name from the Sengoku period, or Warring States period in Japan, a time in Japanese history recorded to have extensive military conflicts. I wonder what that could have foreshadowed. Tsuru's name can be translated as either crane, like the bird, or to hang, very much matching her devil fruit power. The nurse who tends to Whitebeard is named Tate. Gonfal's appearance and armor is modeled after the title character of Don Quixote. Very strange that it's not Doflamingo who takes his appearance from this classic book, but it works. Wiper currently holds the position of the head of God's Guard. The elderly gatekeeper of Skypiea is named Amazon. Pierre becomes a Pegasus because he's a bird who has eaten a horse fruit, unlike Stronger, who later eats an actual Pegasus zone. In the anime, a child throws a tomato at Konis. In the manga, however, it's just a straight-up rock. Pagaya's reoccurring gag is that he apologizes for everything, even when there is nothing wrong that he did. Sue, Konis's Cloud Fox, shares the same voice actor as Nami. Enel's appearance is modeled after American rapper Eminem. Gidatsu is the only priest who doesn't have any eyewear whatsoever. Holy is too well trained and obedient to a fault, knocking himself out when Zoro commands it, which hilarious. McKinley's White Barretts are a parody of the Green Barretts. Ohm's name comes from a unit of measurements for electrical resistance, fitting for his serving Enel. However, it's also a holy syllable in Hinduism and Buddhism. Om, you know the one. Satori's name also has connotations of spiritual enlightenment within Zen Buddhism. And thanks to a flame dial, Fusa can actually breathe fire. Shura's name also has a religious connotation, likely coming from the demonic concept of Ashura, just like Zoro's technique. The man who was punished for trespassing in the upper yard was named Zabo. Hakuwan is the name of Wapol's pet dog introduced in his cover story. Isa is the youngest character shown to have observation hockey. And for a lot of Shandians, the only fun facts Oda has given us are their favorite food. So here we go. Kalgaras is a whole roasted big fish. Brahms is the sky shark jerky. Gembos is cloud leopard. Kamakiris is cloud bear. And Rakis is pumpkin noodles. That one came a little bit out of nowhere, I guess. Yama's name means mountain, which is why all of his attacks incorporate the word mountain. Nola is the second oldest confirmed creature in One Piece, next to Zanisha, not counting characters whose age we don't know, like Imu. The Birkin clergyman who does math with Enel is named Sage Godi. And though many fans believe that Isa is either Araki's daughter or sister, Isa's actual mother is the Shandian named Isa. Satori's younger brothers are named Hitori and Kotori and serve as lieutenants lieutenants of the Divine Soldiers. Cinderella is Walpole's wife and also holds the title of Miss Universe in the One Piece world. The Shandian warriors who get absolutely blitzed by Enel are named Mayushika, Warashi, and Yotsubane. The loving father who worked for Enel and then was betrayed and struck by lightning was named Moyle, and we never get a follow-up on how his son Mochi took the news, or if Moyle just miraculously survived, like Pagaya did. The Shandia chief is the only One Piece character to rename completely unnamed, even though he's included in the Weaver Card visual dictionary. In his cover story, Ace attacks a doctor on Lulusia named Kurotsuru, mainly because he wears a big sash that says Dr. Blackbeard and resembles Marshall D. Teach. Originally introduced in Ace's cover story, Moda is one of the only survivors of the Lulusia kingdom and is now with the Revolutionary Army. Her parents, Koda and Kyuji, were chiefs of a marine base, and Ace helped them reunite with their daughter. In the Skypiea flashback, we meet many ancient characters like Kalgara's wife and child, Herb and Moose, Chia, the old man who dies of tree fever, a villager named Seto, Nolan's Dr. Honor, the chief Coburn, and the Livinel king Ariuatayan V. These are among the oldest characters we know of in the series actually, next to those belonging to the Void Century, yes, and the grandparent of the serpent Nola was named Kashigami. Vice Admiral Komil has a permanent milk mustache, thanks in part to Ace helping his marine base get a steady supply of Moda's milk during the cover story. The god of Skypiea 400 years ago, Ubao's name means steal, referring to him stealing the Verth from the Shandians. Unforgivable Mask is another joke background character who's Pandaman's greatest rival. Marilyn, who dances with Sanji at the Skypiea party, once held the title of Miss Skypiea. Good on Sanji. Oh. Still hanging in there? Are you still with me? Well, let's cool things down a little bit now with the iciest admiral, Kuzan's appearance, because like all the other admirals, he's based on a famous Japanese actor. In this case, Yusaku Matsuda's star of Detective Story. Nke-kun is a joke character that shows up with Panda Man on the cover of volume 52. He premiered in the same one-shot as Domo-kun, who I mentioned earlier. Shelly, the horse on Long Ring Longland Island, is classified as a horse by Tonjit, and Tonjit himself was so obsessed with building the world's tallest stilts that he considered the news of Roger's execution unimportant. Foxy is one of the few characters who keeps his signature laugh in the Funimation dub. The Groggy Monsters, Hamburg, Pickles, and Big Pan / Big Bun, depending on the translation, are all named after burger ingredients. Porchi was one of the first 2 crew members to join Foxy, and though Davy Jones is now finally confirmed to actually have existed in One Piece, Oda did also provide this sketch of the mythical figure in volume 38 of an SBS, though I will say I'm not sure if, he's gonna stick with this once we actually get to know what he looked like. When Manda the Star Shark and Capote the Billfish Fishman combine, this swimming technique is called the two-fish engine. According to Oda, the giant bird Chuchun has teeth. Yikes. Itomi Mimizu's name means Tubifex worm, which is why early translation just called him Tubifex. And before being forced to join Foxy, Kiba Gairu was captain of the Fanged Toad Pirates, Kairu meaning toad or frog in Japanese. The boxers on Foxy's ship before the fight between Luffy and Foxy are named George Mack and Mountain Ricky. Goro, the man who built a hot spring resort in Gadetsu's cover story, is Toto's brother and Koza's uncle. The 3 shipwrights that Foxy offers to Luffy as a prize for winning the Davy Back fights are named Donovan, Gina, and Sonie. Borsalino / Admiral Kizaru takes his name from a luxury Italian hat company as well as of a 1930s gangster film of that same name. The hat that Borsalino wore as a vice admiral is a fedora in, yes, that same Borsalino style. The Sea King frozen by Kuzan is called the Master of the Waters. Sakazuki, despite his temper and aggressive nature, has a hobby of cultivating bonsai trees. Chimney is the only human / merfolk hybrid to not display any non-human features. In episode 393, you can see Gombe as a kitty right at Sabaody Archipelago. Despite being a mermaid, you can see Kokoro's ankles early on, and in the anime they are actually flesh-colored. That's kind of unsure if this is a mistake or if her being a mermaid was a retcon decided on later in the arc. We might never know. Yokozuna's name comes from the highest rank in sumo wrestling, which presumably you'd at least have to hold if you wanted to, sumo wrestle a literal train? Hattori is not Lucci's first pigeon. Hattori is only 20 years old, but Lucci is seen with a similar bird 24 years ago already. Iceberg's name is quite ironic, seeing as you know how icebergs are famously hazardous to ships. Kaku is the character with the fastest known time between eating his devil fruit and awakening it. Khalifa's birthday of April 23rd is known as Secretary's Day. The pirate who foolishly refuses to pay the Galela company is named Mikazuki. Since the Enies Lobby arc, Polly has been promoted to vice president of the Galela. The current Galela at least. Peeply Lulu's design resembles Queen frontman Freddie Mercury. Tilestone's fighting technique includes ship parts such as the keel crusher. Tyrannosaurus's favorite food is spinach. Again, kind of funny. The man who rents bulls in Water 7 is named Mishoin Kashable. Zambai now works for the Galela and has formed the Zambai Company Union alongside with fellow Frankie family members Kiev and Tamagon. Lueno's Japanese name contains the word buru for bull, matching his bull-like hairstyle, Burueno. The appraiser who cashes in the Straw Hat's gold is named Ishigo Shitemana. The other named Frankie family members are Cobb and Sholzo. Bimine is the mayor of Gourmet Town. The Bimi in his name means delicious. The giant mole Gidatsu meets in his cover story is named Earth Boss. The mandrill carpenter is named Forest Boss, and Lucci was not originally intended to be a villain at all. It wasn't until his introduction that Oda decided to make him an undercover CP9 agent. In the manga, the world government agent Corgi is off-screened, but in the anime, you actually see Soga King defeat him. Frankie's character was designed with the voice actor Kazuki Yao in mind, who has already played both Django and Mr. Two Bon Clay, and who at this point has actually resigned from the role of Frankie, being taken up by this guy who also voices Todo in Jutsu Kaisen. The Square sisters, Kiwi and Mozu, have now taken over Blue Nose Bar. The three largest family members of the Frankie family, the Kairiki Destroyers, are named Dago, Outland, and Foot Blanco. This random citizen who comments on Iceberg's assassination attempt is named Kafukaku, not to be confused with Kaku. The doctor who treated Iceberg is named QQ, which means first aid. There's like QQsha, which is a, ambulance in Japanese. This minor character was initially called Hapa, but then named Yamao in a data book. When asked about this inconsistency, Oda actually said that his name is Hapa Yamao, so classic Oda move. Tom shares many similarities with the character Tom Builder from Ken Follett's novel The Pillars of the Earth. The judge who sentences Tom was named Georgie. Spandam's trademark mask is based on professional wrestler Mick Foley's Mankind character. The two C-Train attendants are named Stevie and Bushin. Despite being a proclaimed champion boxer, Cypher Pole agent Jerry completely ignores the rules of boxing by incorporating kicks into his techniques. Again, pretty funny. And RIP to a real one. Now, before becoming a Marine, Vice Admiral T-Bone was a royal knight in an unknown country. To date, Vance is the only character who Sanji has fought using an actual weapon. Spandam has owned an elephant since childhood, but it is unclear if that elephant was the elephant Sword Fang freed or, a different elephant. Sodom and Gomorrah, the King Bulls, are named after a pair of cities destroyed by God in the Bible due to their corruption. Nero is the only CP9 member to not have his Doriki power level stated. The two kids who tried to mock Zoro are named Hoichel and Michael. Fukuro's original design didn't have a zipper on his mouth at all, and he was intended to fight Nami. In the original version of chapter 413, Jabra's mustache was missing in several panels, but this was then actually fixed in the volume release. Kumadori often alludes to his mother having passed away, but according to Oda, she is in fact still alive. Oimo's and Kashi's design seem to be heavily based on characters from Vicky the Viking, the series that Oda says is the main inspiration for One Piece altogether. Catherine, the Enies Lobby cafeteria worker, used to date Jabra, but dumped him in the hopes that she could become Lucci's girlfriend instead, which ouch. Baskerville is actually not a three-headed man. He's actually three guys named Bass, Ant, and Curvel, who are such good homies they just act as one guy in the same suit. Another translation of Cloudy Clover is Cleave Clover, which comes from the Gaelic word Sword of Light, matching the Irish connection of his surname. The other named archaeologists on Ohara are Bushiri, Graham, Hocha, Rint, Roche, Zaidi, and Hack, not to be confused with the revolutionary fishman Huck. Robin's other family members on Ohara were her uncle Oren and Roji and cousin Mizuira. Saul is the only known character with the D initial who is not human, but giant. Albia shares a birthday, February 6th, with her daughter Robin. Spandine is the one responsible for his son Spandam's promotions in both CP9 and CP0. Spandine's subordinate Lasky is the father of Cypherpol agents Khalifa and Alpha. Talk about family business and nepotism, I guess. The first pirate captain to work with Robin was named Ches Kipa. The old woman who then sold out Robin was named Kane Zeni. Kane, of course, meaning gold or money in Japanese, so on the nose. And the man who tried to do the same was named Nigerata, a pun on the face Nigerareta, meaning that she escaped, or they escaped. Doberman here is the only Vice Admiral we've seen participate in 2 different Buster Calls. Momonga was able to negate the effects of Boa Hancock's powers by stabbing his own hand. Onigumo's Devil Fruit allows him to sprout 8 arms, and while assuming to be a spider zone, it's currently unknown, but his name quite literally means demon spider, so that would kind of make sense. According to the SBS, Strawberry's head grows larger every time he gets sad. Vice Admiral Yamakaji's name means forest fire. Kumadori Yamambako is Kumadori's mother. That makes Kumadori the ZPZ member's family name, with his given name being unknown. That of course makes Kumadori the CP0 member's family name, with his given name actually being unknown. Shu's ability to rust organic compounds like skin is non-canon and was only shown in the anime and not the manga. Vice Admiral Very Good's name comes from Biri, and Biri being pronounced pretty much the same in Japanese, he has the Biri Biri Devil Fruit. And another Marine that Frankie beats up during the Buster Call is Glove, who uses boxing gloves. Sharinguru, who can rotate his body parts like wheels, doesn't actually use his power in the anime. We only see it used against Frankie in the manga, and again, Rin is like wheels, so Oda, you kind of get the idea. Oda puts a lot of what people do into their names. The 4 automata created by Tsukimi are named Spacey, Cosmo, Galaxy, and Macro. Dr. Vegapunk is inspired by many real-life scientists, of course. His tongue is based on Albert Einstein's very famous photo. The apple antenna may be a nod to Sir Isaac Newton, and he shares his dream of providing the world with free energy with Nikola Tesla. Tesla, who built the famous Wardenclyffe Tower in New York, which might be what Eckhead Island might be based on as well. The Thousand Sunny is a type of ship called a brigantine. Attach originated as an SBS joke by Oda to explain away how the Marines got such high quality photos for the bounty posters, but he has since become an actual full canon character. Marumieta is the daughter of Bimin, the mayor of Pucci, the gourmet town. She's introduced looking at a naked Frankie through binoculars, which her servant Yaminahare actually attempts to stop. In fact, his name means please stop that. Curly Dadan is the only named female bandit in One Piece. One of the Revolutionary Army members, Terry Gilteo, is missing his facial scar in the anime. At Marineford, Whitebeard is only seen with 14 commanders, which means that Thatch was not replaced in his role after his death. The space pirates who attack Enel is named Seamars. And before we now enter the spookiest arc around One Piece, let's quickly celebrate because we're almost a third of the way through every One Piece character. Let's go. Despite being a skeleton, Brook grew 11 centimeters over the time skip. Perona's fashion sense is based on the Gothic Lolita fashion subculture in Japan. You see that actually quite commonly here in Shinjuku, for example. The wild zombie Cerberus is, of course, based on the 3-headed dog from Greek mythology. In Thriller Bark, you can also see the lion that Hawkback took Absalom's face from. It now has a human face, but Oda has not confirmed that it is in fact Absalom's human face. In the Japanese version, the zombie Hilden has a lisp, likely because his fangs get in the way of talking. Dr. Hogback takes cues from Victor Frankenstein, but seems to share even more in common design-wise and with his backstory to Dr. Finkelstein from The Nightmare Before Christmas. The surprise zombies include the bear Buhichak, the bearskin rug zombie, the Jack-in-the-Box, and the wall zombie. Sindri's obsession with plates and her emerging from a well are inspired by the Japanese ghost story of Okiku. Two a little bit less threatening zombies are Mock Donald and Unigaru, who the Straw Hat finds slacking off and drinking together. Yuma is actually the star of the one-shot Monsters written by Oda before ever authoring One Piece, but making him then an official character. Spoil is the chairman of the Thriller Bark Victims Association and is not a zombie despite how much he looks like one. The inventor of the automata was named Tsukimi, which fittingly means moon viewing, which is also how he died. Gyoro, Nin, and Bao are likely inspired by the characters Lock, Shock, and Barrel from A Nightmare Before Christmas. Moria is the only former warlord without an epithet. Kumashi exists because Perona asked Hogback to make zombies based on her stuffed toys. Captain John's corpse is interesting. It appears as a zombie on Thriller Bark. In life, of course, he was a member of the infamous Rocks Pirates, and another corpse could be his crewmate Silver Axe, aka Kyo. Inupe gets Sanji's shadow, and his hat almost looks nearly identical to the hat that Sanji wore during the Groggy Ring in the Davy Back fight. The Hippo Gentleman could be based on Perona's toy Hippo, which was actually created by Wobble's toy company. The anime scene of Jigoro jumping from the tower is one of the very few times a non-original piece of music plays in the story. In this case, it's Ode to Joy. Tararan is a very literal interpretation of the actual animal, the spider monkey. Kaido's design can be partially seen on the cover of chapter 693, 102 chapters before his first manga debut. Ors belongs to a class of special zombies, however, thanks to the Straw Hats ending Moria's plans, Ors is the only special zombie ever made. Kumae was Perona's pet bear as a child, and Kumashi was based on his appearance. Lola's crewmates, the Risky Brothers, are the first characters to mention Boa Hancock by name. Lola is the second character to give the Straw Hats a beaver card, but the first to actually explain what it does. Egana is the employer of Margarita, a maid whose shadow was used for Victoria's Sindri. And Margarita is of course only one character who has their shadow return after Moria's defeat. Others include a marine named Asahija and a pirate captain named Gu. Alice is the young secretary for Galela who replaces Khalifa. Mizuta Madaisuke and Mizuta Mawaritotsuki were twin brothers on the Rumber Pirates. Boa Hancock's character resembles several characters from Greek mythology, including Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons, Medusa, Calypso, and Penthesilea. Duval's iron mask may foreshadow the time that Sanji spent forced to wear an iron mask as a child. Duval's pet bison is named Motobaro. San Rosworth's favorite food is monkey brains. Charles' sister Shalria was the first named female celestial dragon. Antonio owns Antonio's Gramen in Sabaody, which is short for Grand Line Manju, a type of dumpling. Manju, pretty famous here in Japan. I kinda like them as well. Devil Diaz, the pirate enslaved by Rosworth, may be named ironically after the Portuguese explorer Dinis Diaz, who was a slave trader. Usually Oda will either take a first or last name for a real pirate. However, Jean Bart actually shares his complete full name with a Flemish privateer. St. Rosworth's pet dog is named Saru, which means monkey. Sentomaru's design is based on the Japanese folk hero Kintaro. Bonnie's crew members who helped her escape from the Sorbet Kingdom include Part, Tots, Potato, and Gyogyo. Poor Potato, he really did not have a good lot with his name. And even though a standard tarot deck consists of 78 cards, the anime shows Hawkins using a card of only 72 tarot cards. Beppo was the first mink to ever appear in the show, but his species wouldn't be revealed for another 307 chapters. Capone Beige is set to cut off animal hats, a very likely reference to a scene from the classic mafia movie The Godfather. Out of all the Supernova, Kid is the only one that Oda thought would play a major role in the story going forward. Jewelry Bonnie, being Kuma's daughter, was actually spoiled very early in one of the Weaver card data books before it was then confirmed in the manga. The two bounty hunters who fail miserably at attacking the Straw Hats on Sabaody are Kariken and Minoruba. They then later seek help from Peterman, giving him information about kidnapping and selling Kami. Killer's Laugh, Fa Fa Fa, is very likely a reference to the Talking Heads song Psycho Killer, which is a great song. Fa 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 better. You get it. Fitting with the Kid Pirates punk theme, obviously. Penguin's April 25th birthday is World Penguin Day. Who would have thought? Apu is the only member of the Long Arm tribe known to have eaten a devil fruit. Shachi's name means killer whale in Japanese. Shakuyaku's name means peony, which could have been a hint early on at her Kuja heritage since the Kuja names follow a flower theme. Trafalgar D. Waterlaw's name comes from the two French losses during the Napoleonic Wars, the Battle of Trafalgar and the Battle of Waterloo. Oda has joked that Uruge's weapon is actually a giant pencil and that he may have just set sail in order to find an appropriately sized sharpener. This member of the Worst Generation's name is actually pronounced Diaz Drake, not X Drake. Diaz, of course, being Spanish for the number 10, and the letter X being the Roman numeral for 10. This is something I am still getting used to, but there you have it. Charles, unfortunately, has a total of 8 wives. He had 13, but he has dismissed 5 of them already. Judy and Marie are the engaged couple who stand up to Charles when he tries to steal Marie away. Disco here was the owner of the auction house and now lives in complete disgrace, as all people involved in slave trade should be. Heat and Wire fit the punk theme of Kid's Crew, with Heat being named after the band This Heat and Wire being named after the English punk band Wire. Also, one of my team members has passionately informed me that their album Pink Flag is one of the greatest punk records of all time, so check that out. I guess I'm gonna at least do that. Some of the named slaves freed from the auction house include Marin, Byron, Paskia, and Lakuba. Stanson, the giant freed from the auction house, would later become a member of the Strawhead Grand Fleet after his captain Hush Rudin actually swore loyalty to Luffy on Dressrosa. The Marine who reports the auction house incident to Sengoku is named Sicily. Faust from Basil Hawkins' crew is the only Ming confirmed to be from somewhere other than Zou, in his case, somewhere in the North Blue. The Pacifista were able to recognize and target Usopp despite his bounty poster being of Sogeking at this point. The pirate stopped by ZP9 in their cover story is named Candy. The Kuja are all named after flower species, including Aphelandra, Kikyo, Margarita, Nerine, Sweet Pea, Belladonna, Kiku, Pansy, Poppy, Shion, Bluefan, Cosmos, Daisy, Ran, Rindo, and Inishida. Oh, I just feel like I took a trip through a botanical garden. Nice. Gloriosa, a former member of the Rocks Pirates, is the only known member of the Kuja tribe to be part of a crew other than the Kuja Pirates. And the flower theme even extends to Amazon Lily's animal inhabitants like Bakura the panther and Salome the snake. But not to the 2 unnamed Yuda which pull their ship, because Yuda just means traveling snake. The Gorgon sisters are based on the Gorgon sisters from Greek mythology. Assuming that Hancock is Medusa, Marigold's ferocity mirrors Thenso, while Sandersonia's being very emotional is very similar to Uriel. On Amazon Lily, Panda Man doesn't appear, instead Panda Woman takes his place. Fisher Tiger is named after an animal that is a fierce rival of dragons in mythology. In the original myth of Queen Otohime, the sea goddess transformed into a dragon, signaling the rivalry between these 2 characters. Haridas is Birkin and thus is from the same Sky Island as Enel, though they are both Birkins who are mysteriously missing wings. Kitten and Taruimo are the boy and cyborg dog who discover Frankie on Karakuri Island. The Okama who chases Sanji through the Kamabaka Kingdom is named Tibony. Heracles is named after the Hercules beetle, using the hero's Greek name, and his helmet actually resembles a Hercules beetle too. Pekori, the leader of the Satan worshippers who find Brook, has a name which means to bow down, which is exactly what they all do when Brook first appears. The inhabitant of the Torino Kingdom who tries to hunt Chopper is named Shamba. The Marine assigned to spy on Hancock during the trip to Impel Down has the unfortunate name Stalker. And you know, just saying, but Oda making so many characters has made it so that recording this very video is kind of my personal prison, so while we're on the subject, let's head down into Impel Down. And as you can expect, many prisoners here have pretty punny names. John Goen's name means fate, matching his line about how fate led Luffy to him. Pankuta Dakeyan's name literally means just ate bread because he's eating bread in his introduction. And Zengaina's name literally means, safety's pretty good, right? Because he's afraid to leave his cell. Dohai Tanka II's name means how did you get here? In reference to his mysterious crimes. Dobi Ibadambo's name is a pun on really good person. This frozen prisoner Kario Kureyo's name can be read as give me a hand warmer. Hanyabul's name is based on Japanese Hanya demon masks. The jailer beasts Minotaurus, Minorhinoceros, Minozebra, Minokoala, and the newest jailer beast, the Mini Chihuahua, are the first characters described as awakened zone users, or just awakened devil fruit users in general. Domino is the only high-ranking jailer who never confronts any of the escapees. Magellan's demonic appearance and constant toilet usage are a potential reference to Belphegor, a demon associated with the sin of sloth that is depicted sitting on a toilet. Despite the name Basilisk, this creature more closely resembles a cockatrice. Sphinx is capable of imitating human speech, but mostly just says the names of noodle dishes. Seldath is currently the youngest known world government employee, and Oda originally wanted to introduce Shiki by name during the meeting between Shanks and Whitebeard, but held back because he didn't want to confuse audiences at that point. Commodore Daigen is one of only 3 characters to receive 0 votes in the World Top 100 popularity poll, along with Charlotte Montby and Charlotte Bassens. Sadie's canonical favorite food is the tortured screams of her prisoners. Yes, that's canon. Emporio Ivankov's appearance is molded after Tim Curry's portrayal of the character Dr. Frankenfurter from the cult classic film The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Zado's name means shivers, which he does when he reports to Momonga. And we actually do have names for the figures depicted on the berry bills. The 1000 berry node shows Uzaguchi Hideo, the 5000 berry node shows Kumaguchi Ichiro, and the 10,000 berry node shows Gaikotsu Yukichi. But it's not only the prisoners who do have pun names. The doctor, Muchana's name means unreasonable, Muchada, in this case referring to Bentham's request to heal Luffy's poisoning. This guard's name, Skoshiba Kanishitoru, means actually making fun of him a little bit, which he does to all his prisoners. The Marine Akehende's name means won't open, referring to his comment about how the gates of justice won't open for pirates. By the way, a lot of these puns are very like Kansai Ben, which is like the dialect they speak down in Osaka, not so much Tokyo here, but it actually kind of makes it even more funny. Kinoko is a level 5 prisoner who swears loyalty to Buggy, and on the list of Impel Down prisoners we do see a George Black and Roche Thompson, but we never do see them appear in the story. Inazuma's original concept was actually a crab zone, and we don't get the names for a ton of the other Newcomer Land residents, but we do know the names of Francois, Tsunokov, and Usakov. Belay here is the vengeful pirate who Ivankov changes the gender of unwillingly. Come on, Eva, you do need consent for this type of thing. Katarina Devon is likely named after the real-life pirate Catalina de Irauso. San Juan Wolf is the oldest member of the Blackbeard Pirates at 99 years old, and according to the cover of chapter 1031, which features the second strongest members of various crews, Shiryu is actually the second strongest member of the Blackbeard Pirates, which makes sense since he's supposed to fight Zoro. It is important to note though that this actually came before Kuzan's reveal as a member of the crew, so who knows. And move over Usopp, by the way, because according to Oda, Vasco Shot actually has the longest nose in the series canonically. Though I guess that would mean like in proportion to the face, because the giants would have longer noses. Now the revolutionary who frees Robin from Tequila Wolf is named Bunny Joe. Oh, and did you think that the other arcs introduced a lot of named characters? Because buckle up, it's time for Marineford, where Oda just went absolutely insane with it. Lacroix and Lance are the only named members of the Giant Squad. John Giant is surprisingly absent from this group for some reason. It's truly shocking to me that Oda passed up the opportunity to name these characters, since he seems to name literally everyone else in this world for no reason. Portgas de Rouge is the only character with a known canon death date, January 1st. The reporter Reuter is likely named after the Reuters news agency in Germany. In the anime, some captains allied to Whitebeard were shown to have been defeated by Edward Weevil. These include A.O., the Daclevin brothers, Elmi, Ramba, Whitey Bay, Palms, and Bizarre. And the anime adds several allied captains in attendance at Whitebeard's funeral that we don't see in the manga. These include Delacroix, Macguy, which is the best name in this list, Ailwan, Karma, Zodia, Amadop, and several others. Doma's defeat by Ace is what allowed Ace promotion to the 2nd Division Commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. Squart's favorite food is cheese. Ace's original crew, the Spade Pirates, also had a pretty sizable crew, including AG-68, Banshee, Barry, Cornelia, Dogia, Ducky Bree, Ganryu, Hoblet, Kimmel, Kotatsu, Kukai, Leonero, Mihar, Osamando, Saber, Skull, Wallace, and Finamore. 10th Division Commander Curiel is likely named after the real-life pirate Yakov Curiel. Mass Deuce is the only character known to have consumed a devil fruit, without gaining its powers because Ace swallowed his piece of the Mera Mera no Mi a little bit earlier. 8th Division Commander Namor is a fisherman and the only non-human Whitebeard Division commander altogether. The Blue Deep data book shows that Vista and Yasop have beef for some reason because of some mysterious event in the past. 13th Division Commander Atmos has long hair that disappears in many frames due to drawing errors. Bastide's birthday is July 14th, the French holiday Bastille Day. 6th Division Commander Blamenko utilizes literal hammer space, the video game concept, by pulling a giant hammer out of a pocket dimension with his pocket devil fruit. 9th Division Commander Blenheim's name likely comes from the Battle of Blenheim. Dalmatian inflicts one of Luffy's many wounds during Marineford, piercing him with a Shigan. Allied Captain Epioda's caterpillar devil fruit is one of only 2 fruits that only appear in the manga, the other one actually being Sharingudo's wheel fruit. In the Treasure Cruise game, 15th Division Commander Fossa is giving the epithet the Blazing Katana, and Speed Jiru is giving the epithet Shield Lance. 12th Division Commander Haruta's gender was kind of ambiguous given his female voice actress, but Oda has since confirmed that no female members of the Whitebeard Pirates were present at the battle, with the exception of former member Whitey Bay. Izo's favorite food is Gamodoki, fittingly an ingredient in Odin. Allied Captain Ketchach may be named after a type of 2-mast sailing vessel called a ketch. Pavlik's initial scene with the Allied captains charging into battle is omitted from the anime altogether. 7th Division Commander Rakio's ball and chain appears way bigger in the manga than in the anime. Allied Captain Vitan is shown with flesh-colored skin in the colored manga, but the Weaver card shows his skin as metallic, kind of matching his cyborg body. And with Road claiming that there are no pure-blooded ancient giants in the modern One Piece world, we can suspect that Little Oars Jr. is a mixed race. Choi, Hangan, Ramba, and Tsuka are the Whitebeard allies closest to Luffy at the moment of Ace's death. The kanji on Allied Captain Arthur's clothing changes from his concept art to the manga, but it's kind of uncertain why that change was ever made. Other Whitebeard Allied captains without much known about them include Rafort, Blondie, Ninth, Nosgarl, Baggerly, Brocka, Wallum, Great Michael, Forleaps, Axely, Kinga, Korskin, Happy Gun, and Julius, who has somehow the most normal name out of all of these. Kandri and Andre are twin brothers, with Kandri becoming a marine captain and Andre becoming a pirate allied with Whitebeard, which sounds like an interesting story to maybe be told in a spin-off. Brooks' manager Sankrin accidentally loses his mustache in the exact same scene in both the manga and the anime as a mistake. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, well, turns out this video is so long I needed to record this over multiple days, otherwise my voice would have been kind of messed up at the end of this, so no one wants this. Yeah. Different day, we're gonna keep rolling. And we're gonna keep doing that with the Allied Captain Brew, who accidentally actually received 2 designs, with one being considered the true Brew and the other being a crew member that bears many very similar features. 11th Division Commander King Dew's design bears a strong resemblance to He-Man. Allied Pirate Rush makes multiple appearances in the manga, but is completely excluded from the anime. Shiki's subordinate, Dr. Indigo, shares a voice actor with Caesar Clown, another evil clown scientist, because the One Piece world is apparently just full of these guys. Kong here is the only known admiral, or former admiral, not confirmed to have eaten a devil fruit. Well, let's be real, he probably has. A data book gave this Roger pirate the name Seagull, but then an SBS named him as Nozdon instead. To later then clear up the inconsistency, Oda stated that his full canon name, and you won't believe this, is yes, Seagull Guns Nosdon. Some other named Roger pirates whose whereabouts are unknown since Roger's death include Doringo, Sunbell, Taro, Peter Moo, Millet Pine, Gunyu, CB Gallant, Donkino, Mr. Momora, Moon Isaac Jr., Yui, Ranga, Mugren, Max Marks, Spencer, Bankuro, Blue Marine, Idio, Rowing, Jackson Banner, and Yamon. Jamon? Iberico? No, that just means I'm getting hungry. Yamon. Kans is an allied captain who resembles a giraffe and could possibly be a member of the Snake Neck tribe. Avalo Pizarro was the only Blackbeard Impel Down recruit not to be mentioned in advance by Ivankov, and instead was revealed during Marineford. Sabo is the tallest of the 3 brothers, and not just because of his hat. He's actually 2 centimeters taller than Ace. Gap here is the only red hair pirate senior officer that can't be identified in Fusha Village or the cover of chapter 41 where Shanks' crew is first depicted. Brown Brownbeard's actual name is Chadros Hygalaiges. I think at least that's how you pronounce that. Starting her crew at 6 years old, Big Mom was the youngest known pirate captain. Dogra and Magra from Dadan's Bandits are named after the novel Dogra Magra by Yume no Kyusaku. Blue Jam's favorite food is vodka, yay, but Portuguese diet is a little bit healthier because his favorite food is tonkatsu. Not great, but better than vodka. In the anime, Outlook III and Didit witness Sabo's departure, but they don't actually do that in the manga. Steri here isn't Sabo's brother by blood, but was adopted from another noble family. Stefan is Whitebeard's dog and has a matching mustache, which is hilarious. Goa noble Aho Desunen, the ninth's name actually means I'm a complete idiot in Japanese. And his daughter, Tsurako's name, is a play on a phrase meaning idiotic face. The celestial dragon who shoots Sabo is named Saint Jalmek. Karasu's name is very fitting, meaning crow in Japanese. The marine doctor who always chews a fishbone is also fittingly named. His name is Dr. Fishbenen. The captain that Kid crucifies for trying to escape the New World is named Vic Timothy Crucifixio in English, which is hilarious. Kasa, the old lady who offers Uruj an umbrella on Raijin Island's name, actually means umbrella. Commodore Kibin was only given his rank and name in the anime because he's completely unnamed in the manga. The Scotch on Kaido's crew shares a name with one of the Yeti Cool brothers. The gorilla-looking marine here who investigates Frankie's explosion on Baltimore is just named Gorilla. And at this point, this is like half the series, and surprisingly, it's pretty close to half the characters as well. But we're finally to the time skip now and still have many hundreds of characters to go through. Look at the timestamp. You know, if you were afraid this video was gonna end soon, don't be. We're going back into it. Karibu was the first Devil Fruit user revealed after the time skip. And Karibu's punk hairstyle is actually just an iguana hanging out on his head. Yeah. All the fake Straw Hats follow a coffee naming convention. Dimalo Black, like black coffee. Drip is a coffee preparation. Drip coffee, right? Cocoa and chocolate are often added to coffee. Turco means Turkish coffee. Mounbluten refers to the Blue Mountain variety from Jamaica, and Manjaro refers to the coffee growing regions around Mount Kilimanjaro. The bartender who tells Nami about the New World is named Humphrey. And while all the fake Straw Hats have their own coffee theme going on, this doesn't apply to their pet Noragitsune, which just means stray fox. This fishmonger who sees Zoro get on the wrong pirate ship is named Beak Remark, and the only other named rookies other than the Karibu pirates who joined the Maro Black's fake Straw Hats include Albion and Lip Service Doughty. Rear Admiral Catacombo's status as the commander of the Sabaody Archipelago naval base is actually not canon. Sleepy is the only Whitebeard ally who's not made an appearance in the manga or anime, with only a sketch of him appearing in a databook. Oda has also stated that Tsurume could be cooked into enough takoyaki to feed 1,250,000 people with takoyaki balls. Megalo is named after the extinct giant shark, the Megalodon. Wadatsumi's anglerfish is named Ankoro, and the first Vanderdecken was the original captain of the Flying Dutchman. This pirate actually comes from a real-world legend. And Vanderdecken the Ninth is the first fishman revealed to have eaten a devil fruit, and the first Paramecia user revealed after the time skip. Wadatsumi is named after Watatsumi, a Shinto sea god, and in chapter 608, Hammond here appears without a beard, but this is fixed in some later chapters. Hyozo here is referenced all the way back in Arlong Park when Hachan declares himself as the second best swordsman from Fishman Island. This character is named Kazagoba in the manga, but Kazagon in the anime for some reason. A few of the mermaids in the Mermaid Cafe are actually named after pop stars. Adele and Falonce, a play on Beyonce. However, Hiramera, Ishili, and Kaiden are all named after Japanese names for their mermaid species: olive flounder, striped beakfish, and right-eye flounder, respectively. Oda has canonically confirmed that, like real great white sharks, Hody Jones does yes indeed have two penises. The mermaid quintuplets are named Ichika, Nika, Sanka, Yonka, and Yonka 2, meaning that we had a canon character named Nika long before the reveal of the sun god. And despite being able to breathe underwater, Lulis wears a snorkel for some unexplained reason. Meiro is the same type of mermaid as Shirahoshi, a smelled whiting mermaid. Seira here accessorizes with a fashionable pair of shell headphones. I low-key kinda want a pair of those. And the Mermaid Cafe also features a mermaid named Sora, whose name would be reused later for Sanji's own mother. Fukaboshi's face design is based on the kabuki puppets created by Jusaburo Tsujimura. Mamboshi and Ryuboshi, much less serious than their older brother, have a singing and dancing theme. Mamboshi randomly dances, and Ryuboshi frequently sings in solfege syllables. Charlie is Arlong's younger half-sister. The newcomer who donate blood to Sanji are named Splash and Splatter. Daruma's name comes from Darumazame, the Japanese name for a cookie cutter shark. Doson's name is an onomatopoeia for a hammer stud, fitting for a hammerhead shark that fights with a hammer. Crab Hand Jiros' crab hand is more like a gauntlet, as we can see his human arm underneath after Hody Jones bites it off. Neptune's whale Ho has physical features of both baleen and toothed whales. Ikaros Much and his friend Daedalus are named after the Greek mythological figures Icarus and Daedalus. Icarus being the guy who flew too close to the sun. Papax Kashir is named Junon, and King Neptune shares his name with the Roman god of the sea. Now in the manga, Zio here fights against Brook with 2 chains, while he only has one for some reason in the anime. The Minister of the Left and Minister of the Right don't have actual names, we only know their job descriptions. Shirahoshi is the second of Luffy's friends that he openly says he doesn't like upon meeting. The other, fun fact, Kobe, also has pink hair. Otohime shares her name with a Japanese goddess, the daughter of the sea god Ryujin. And unlike most mermen, Tom's brother Den has webbed hands, which are more common among fishmen. Aladdin resembles a genie, fitting for a character named after the story of Aladdin. The robber Papanil gets slapped so hard by Otohime that he actually loses a tooth. Kadar from Fisher Tiger's backstory was the first rear admiral properly named in the story ever. Koala is the only human character to have her celestial dragon slave mark replaced with the Sun Pirates mark. Mjosgard is the only known Don Quixote family member without blonde hair. The fishman Togare was only given a name in the anime. Joy Boy may be named after a figure from Caribbean folklore who cures the world's problems through laughter and dancing. In the English version of the anime, this character is named Hari Simbon, but in the Japanese, his full name is Jean-Noel or Captain Porcupine Fish. The singer Mario Napoli's song is based on the tale of Urashima Taro, which is the myth that things like Otohime, the Tamatebako, and Ryugu Palace are also all based on. And while the anime states that Bobbin was straight up killed, the manga does leave his fate much more ambiguous, just saying that he was disposed of. Pudding is currently the only known member of the Three-Eyed Tribe. Napoleon isn't just a reference to Napoleon Bonaparte, fitting with the food theme he has, it's also another name for a French dessert named Millefeuille, I think is how you pronounce this. It's this. Nitro the jelly is potentially made with Capone Bedge's soul, which would explain the cigar and the fedora. Hecoms is the only mink confirmed to have eaten another zone fruit. Baron Tamago is the first member of the Longleg tribe that we do see in the series. Dragon number 13 was only the first successful dragon created by Vegapunk on his 13th attempt. Kinemon's notable good luck may be a pun on his devil fruit, because in Japanese, good luck and clothes are both pronounced fuku. Mocha's name is pronounced with a ch sound instead of a k sound, and her favorite food is mochi, which does sound kinda similar. Also, here is an often forgotten fact: Monet and Sugar are actually sisters. Sint is blonde in the anime, but his hair is blue in the manga. And the other named children on Punk Hazard include Doran, Kombu, Ally, Uzu, and Bio, and Caesar himself shares a voice actor with Bleach's Mayuri Korotsuchi, another mad scientist character. That guy apparently has something that he's being cast for. Momonosuke's name was chosen because it means unrivaled. Hyotaurus' name combined the Japanese word for leopard with centaur, even though his spots more closely resemble that of a jaguar. Kirin Taurus' though combines a giraffe with a centaur, which does pretty much check out. And man, Oda must really like giraffes, because have you ever thought about how many giraffe characters are in One Piece? Surprisingly many. At 25 years old, the Yeti Cool brothers here were the youngest known giants until the Elbaf arc, and strangely, the Elbaf giants of similar age are still very much children, so they're probably a separate race from somewhere else. The G5 member Bakizo's name is referenced to the bucket on his head in Japanese. And Caesar's henchman Chappie is named after the flap of leather attached to a sword's crossguard. Then Bock the Satyr carries a giant gourd of alcohol. Fitting because Bock means goat in German, I should know, I'm German, and is also a type of strong lager beer. Smiley was the first zone user to transform into an aquatic animal, and the first zone user we see die in the series altogether. Smooge the Centaur's epithet is Raybar. It's kind of unclear what this is referring to though, since he uses a double-sided warhammer as a weapon. Vergo ate a hamburger, fries, and a strawberry milkshake for breakfast every single day. Yum! G5 Commodore Yarisugi's name means overdoing it, which he tends to do, fair enough. The Spider Centaur Run the Machete isn't a big character, but he does get a very unique laugh. The other G5 members that are named in Punk Hazard include Pike, Jiro, and Gal. Ginkgo, who Momonosuke meets when he first gets to Punk Hazard, is only named in the anime. Baby Five's birth name is actually unknown, as her mother abandoned her and possibly never even gave her a name to begin with. And just like Baby Five, Buffalo is also a code name given by the Don Quixote family. Also, wow, these guys are just out there recruiting children into the mob, basically. Gladius is named after a Roman short sword, where also the word gladiator comes from. His childhood drawing can be seen wielding one, actually, and Giola's artwork recreates famous paintings by real-life painters like Edward Munch, Salvador Dali, and even Pablo Picasso. Lao Ji here is the only member of the Don Quixote family who never confronts a single member of the Straw Hats. Macvise's Tonton fruit is a superior version of Miss Valentine's devil fruit, allowing him to become far heavier, up to at least 10,000 tons, which is actually really crazy when you think about it. Jack is the first character shown to have a bounty exceeding 1 billion berries. Kuzan's giant penguin is actually named Camel, which I love. And with Punk Hazard all finished up now, it brings us to the island of love and passion and paella. It's Dressrosa. But it should actually be called the Island of Love and New Characters with the Colosseum part, am I right? Because Edward Weevil is the first one that had the highest former bounty of any warlord. After Kanjuro's betrayal, Toei tweeted an image from the game Among Us, since he'd been revealed as the imposter. Diamante, pica, and treble are the Spanish words for diamond, spade, and clover, respectively, pretty much matching their seats in the Doflamingo Pirates. It's likely that these are just code names, since Rocinante went by Corazon, which is heart, but we don't know their real names. Fujitora's design is based on the film character Satoichi the Blind Swordsman. This dog that tears off a random toy citizen's arm actually has a name. It's Mario. Needed to say it like this. Dellinger shares Fisher Tiger's very rare blood type. The revolutionary Gaburu, who Caribou gets mistaken for, is actually based on Che Guevara. Gats gets a downgrade in the movie One Piece Stampede because he's only a spectator instead of the announcer. Kyros' time as a toy is based on the fairy tale The Steadfast Tin Soldier. Senor Pink is heavily inspired by action star Chow Yun-fat and his movie Hard Boiled. And yes, not just a Big Mom homie, but Hera is also the name of one of the Korda Colosseum gladiators. Spartan is named after the militaristic Greek city-state of Sparta. Viola's dancing is based on the flamenco style from Spain. Abdallah and Jeet are both named after professional wrestlers, Abdallah the Butcher and Tiger Jeet Singh. Our boy Bartolomeo does not actually eat people. His epithet, the cannibal, is a pun because in Japanese the phrase eating people means to mock them as well. Bobby and Cali Funk are also named after famous wrestlers, the Funk Brothers. I know, quite the stretch. And Boo carries 3 axes, so secret Zorro fanboy or even stronger than Zorro confirmed? Cavendish's alter ego Hakuba means white horse, which is also one of Cavendish's own nicknames. Chinjao's name comes from the dish Chinjao Rosu, a beef and bell pepper stir-fry type of meal that's actually really good. I had it before in Japan. Being a very minor character doesn't stop Dagama here from getting a very unique One Piece laugh, which is Gama ha 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 ha. Oda's actually joked before that Nami's happiness punch is even stronger than Elisabello's own king punch. Orlumbus and Ideo are the only two Straw Hat Grand Fleet officers who didn't single-handedly take out another officer of the Don Quixote family. Oda had over, hold your horses, 30 potential names for Rebecca. Some of these were used for some other characters in Dressrosa, such as Russian and Violet. When marrying Baby 5, Sai actually had to break off his engagement to Uholicia, who is the daughter of Chichilicia, the leader of the Niho Navy. Suleiman is the only person converted into a toy who then later joined the Grand Fleet, whose toy form we actually do not get to see. Guernica is named after Pablo Picasso's anti-war painting Guernica. However, the spelling has been changed to contain Nika, who he ironically died trying to prevent awakening. Following CP0's painting theme, Joseph here may be named after Joseph the Carpenter by Georges de la Tour, Gismonda from Alfonso Mucha's poster for the play of the same name, and Maja from Francisco Goya's La Maja Vestida and La Maja Desnuda. Crushing it with the languages here. So sorry if you're a native speaker of any of these languages. French might be the worst. Very sorry. Now, according to the SBS, Gambia is a missionary of Luffy's senpaism. Hajrudin was the first giant from Elbaf introduced after the time skip. Maynard may be named after Robert Maynard, the English Navy captain who subdued the real Blackbeard. So maybe he's gonna do it in the main story, but I kinda doubt it. Despite being so small and young looking, Wicca is 27 years old. Athelia may be named after a historical gladiatrix named Aquilia. The lion that Orlumbus defeats is named Agio. Blue Jilly is the only named Longlag tribe member who is not a member of the Big Mom crew. The Colosseum fighter Damask is actually a pyromaniac, someone who loves playing with fire, which then makes a lot of sense that he wanted the Mera Mera no Mi. The fighting bull that Luffy later names Usi is a play on both Luffy's own gladiator named Lucy and Ushi, the Japanese word for bull or cow. Sabo had grown so strong by age 13 that the fisherman karate master Huck had nothing left to teach him. Unlike a lot of characters whose names are partially based on real pirates, Jean Ango shares his full name with a real-world privateer. In the manga, Meadows was defeated by Hakuba, but in the anime, he was defeated by Acelia. Despite the name, Mummy, this combatant only has bandages wrapped around his hands. King Riku's own birthday is June 27th, which is also known as Speech Day. Now in the anime, Rolling Logan is defeated by Rebecca, but in the manga, he's actually just defeated by Hakuba. Tank Lepanto is likely named after the Battle of Lepanto, the same battle in which Don Quixote's author's left hand actually got paralyzed. Spectator Aremogami here is always seen with her hands covering her face, but in the anime, we actually do get a full Gunmi face reveal. Woo! Spectator Mukashi Mitawa's name means seeing long ago, because the actual pronunciation is Mukashi Mitawa, because, you know, he recognizes Ricky's fighting style. Kabu's name comes from Kabuto Mushi, the Japanese rhinoceros beetle. Leo's birthday is on July 24th, the first day of the Leo astrological season. Bomba and Rampo are the vice chefs of the Tontada. Bomba actually shares his name with a G5 Marine, and he's also the older brother of the similarly named Boboma. Gancho shares his name with a Latin dance move. Akon, Tarara, and Chikori's name weren't revealed in an SBS like most of the dwarfs, but in the One Piece magazine. Bian is the leader of the Pink Bee Squad. Grabar is Leo's grandmother, and at 20 centimeters, Mon Chéri is the, so far at least, shortest known character in One Piece. When the toy Onepoko transforms back into the human Milo, the front of his shirt says Milo, and the back of his shirt says not Onepoko. In the anime, we actually get to see Esta remember her old boyfriend after he's de-toyed. Too bad for her new boyfriend. That one was probably a bit of an awkward one, you know, a love triangle to figure out. The other named Tontada include Flapper, Nubon, Pellini, Backskin, Cotton, Inhel, Daikon, and Chow. Scarlet was killed by Diamante, but she gets the last laugh when her grave marker is the one who lands the final blow against the Don Quixote family member. Cavendish's horse is named Farul. Corazon's real name, Rocinante, comes from the name of the horse that the character Don Quixote actually writes in the novel. The chanter in the name of the queen Mama Chanta means singer in French. This is actually one of the few ships that counts as a character since Big Mom brought it straight to life. Ibusu Tokisu looks like a pirate, but he actually just pilots a trading vessel for the Doerena kingdom. The Dressrosa gorilla that takes a liking to Sengoku is named Uho. Vice Admiral Momo Usagi, real name Gion, was actually inspired by a fan submission and, like the admirals, is based on a real-life actress, Michio Kugure. Technically not one of Kanjuro's named creations, Nuke Suzume just means rising sparrow, which he uses to escape the prison in Dressrosa. Vacuum wielder Kyuin's name means suction. Mauji is the dwarf who serves as Moncheri's own aide. Vice Admiral Chatten here, real name Tokikake, was an admiral candidate and is based on the actor Kyo Shiatsumi. Law's sister Lami can be assumed to carry the will of D as well, but this has been technically unconfirmed. In the anime, Don Quixote Homing introduces himself as a world noble to the first people that he meets after leaving Marijoa, which, smart move, but this scene is actually not in the manga at all. Wellington, who attacks a childhood Law, may be named after the first Duke of Wellington who participated in the Battle of Waterloo, because you know Law's name is Trafalgar D. Waterloo. Diaz Barrels here defected from the Marines to become a pirate, just like his son Diaz Drake. However, in Daddy's case, he actually wasn't a secret sword agent. Vice Admiral Hototokisu follows the theme of many female characters being named after birds, in this case being the Japanese name for a lesser cuckoo. Senor Pink's son Gimlet has the youngest confirmed death in the entire series. His wife Russian was originally gonna be named Margarita, and the granddaughter and grandmother pair Shin Jaya and Shin Datamaruka in Dressrosa do have names that mean I don't want to die, and there's no way I'm dying, respectively. In case you're curious, the full phrases would be Shinjaya and Shindetamaruka. Just so you get a feeling how Oda builds these names, it gets very weird if you don't speak Japanese, I think, but still funny. Similarly, Tegata Ringana, the Dressrosa doctor who needs help evacuating patients' name, is a play on a phrase meaning we don't have enough people. Tegatarinai is what it would be in Japanese. Alright, with that, we have Dressrosa done, but now it's time to go absolute beast mode with Zou, and you too can go beast mode by joining the Ohara Patreon, home to tons of bonus content and downloadable artwork and so much more, because that way you can torture your favorite YouTuber into recording 5 hours of footage about every One Piece character. Ha, what a brilliant idea. Actually, this was a really fun project. Let's keep going, right? The majority of Kaido's headliners, or Shunichi, share their name with card games from all over the world. These include Jin Rummy, Sheep's Head, Hold'em, Speed, Debon, Daifugu, Babanuki, Solitaire, Bao Huang, Usonoro, Briscola, Bisley, Four Tricks, Hamlet, Mizurka, Poker, and the Doubt Brothers. Because when romanized as Toristan, Tristan's name contains Risu, the Japanese word for squirrel. Columbus is named after Christopher Columbus, but he also just has a subordinate named Columbus, which is weird. Stassi's original Weaver card listed her age as secret, likely to hide her status as a clone. Zonisha is both the largest and at the same time oldest creature known confirmed in the series. However, its height has been revised multiple times at this point. At one point, Oda said it was over 35 kilometers tall, which would be absolutely insane and like roughly 5 Mount Everest, so he kind of, revised it a little bit. Raizo's introduction references a ton of jutsus from Naruto, and he even shares a voice actor with Might Guy here. Ryunosuke is currently the only One Piece character to share a name with his own voice actor, Ryunosuke Yamaguchi, the son of Usopp's voice actor Kape Yamaguchi too. The et in Bariette's name comes from the Japanese term eteko, meaning monkey. Carrot was the second character to stow away on a Straw Hat ship ever. Wanda's name is very likely a pun on the Japanese onomatopoeia word for a dog's bark, which is one, and Wanda's crocodile boar is named Wani, which is the Japanese word for crocodile. Blackback is named after blackback gorillas, which are adolescent male silverbacks. One of Pedro's favorite foods is bones, which is a bit awkward, I guess, if you live on Zou, but hey. Roddy the bull mink is provoked by Luffy's red shirt, but in real life, bulls are actually red-green colorblind. Fun fact. Actually, that's a fun fact within a fun fact. It's a meta fun fact. In the manga, Nekozaemon's progress up Zunisha's leg was actually kind of ambiguous, but in the anime, it shows him making it halfway up to Zou at the very least. The sheep Ming Yomo's name means wool. Monji's name is a combination of monkey and a Japanese address for old men. Inuarashi resembles the Japanese dog spirit, the Inugami. The Yagi in Miyagi's name means goat, and Shishi just means lion, making Shishilian's name a combination of lion and Sicilian. And Sicilian subordinate Giovanni may be a reference to the novel Don Giovanni in Sicilia. And kind of continuing the musketeer wordplay, Concelot here combined Lancelot with con, the onomatopoeia for a fox's cry. Con. The very normal named Keith, though, was originally planned as a musketeer, but Oda then switched him to the Guardians. Apparently, Nekomamushi's character was inspired by Brooks' voice actor making up the Nekomamushi song, and not the other way around, funnily enough. Law subordinate Cleone is named after a type of sea slug, and along with that ocean theme, Uni is the Japanese name for sea urchin. Meanwhile, the Heart Pirates helmsman Hakugan's name means snow goose. Vita may be named after real-life gangster Vico Genovese or after Vito Corleone from The Godfather. Prior to Milky's debut, you can see her portrait and name on a random Ming shirt in chapter 807. Must be a big fan. I wonder why. Kanjuro's drawing Tora Saburo combines the words for tiger, Tora, and third son, referencing the fact that it was his third drawing to attempt the Zunisha climb. Ikaku is the only female member of the Heart Pirates, and her name means narwhal. Kozuki Oden's death was inspired by the semi-legendary Ishikawa Goemon, who was also boiled alive and was said to save his son by holding him above the boiling liquid. Orochi's favorite drink is Yashiori Sake, which ironically was used to kill the 8-head serpent Yamata no Orochi in Japanese mythology. The Roshuan Kingdom is One Piece's version of Russia, and their monarch has perhaps the greatest name in all of One Piece, Beer the Sixth. My man. Though based on the next entries, I'm kind of surprised Oda did not just call him Mr. Vodka or something. Like, for instance, we have the leader of the Ballywood Kingdom, who's modeled after the American president Abraham Lincoln, and is just named, and I'm not making this up, Hamburger. Sterry's wife, Serena Takanet's name is a play on Marie Antoinette. Then there's T the Fourth, who has a Union Jack on his head and is clearly meant to represent Great Britain. And bande dessinée is from France, which actually just is the Middle English word for France. Elysia's ruler is named Caesar, a reference to Caesar. And Iwatobi's country of Whiteland is pretty likely just either Greenland or Iceland analog. And the ruler of Kano country, One Piece's China basically, is named ramen, which yes is a Japanese dish, but it uses Chinese-style wheat noodles. And at first, Chap of the Doitsu Kingdom would appear to be modeled after, yes, Adolf Hitler, though based on his name, Charlie Chaplin is the more likely inspiration. Specifically, his film The Great Dictator, which satirizes Nazi Germany, and Doitsu Kingdom is just Germany. And wow, like Zou brought us all the way up to almost 1,000 characters, and I'm pretty sure that Big Mom's 85 children will get us over that mark pretty quickly. Comic book hero Sora is depicted with a seagull on his head, much like Sengoku's. The twin sisters Chiffon and Lola do share voice actress. Gotti is likely named after John Gotti, the head of the Gambino crime family. The Vinsmoke children are named for their birth order. Rei means 0, Ichi means 1, Ni means 2, San means 3, and Yon means 4. Very, Judge-like, naming his children after numbers. The quadruplets Amandi, Monde, Affiliate, and Hachi are actually all snake neck hybrids and named after almond dishes. Diesel is named after the diesel locomotive, but ironically his chimney-shaped hat is a feature of steam locomotives. The homies Prometheus and Zeus are both named after deities from Greek mythology that deal with fire and lightning respectively. Rabian's name is derived from Arabian Nights, which also features a magic carpet. And also on the same fairy tale theme, Randolph may be a reference to the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. The Cocoa Island police officer's name is just Choco Police. Very on brand, cool name, sounds like a DJ. Charlotte Galette and Poire are twin sisters. Mondor is named for a type of cheese, which makes his job as Minister of Cheese make a whole lot more sense, I think. Charlotte Moscato is the triplet brother of Mash and Cornstarch. Charlotte Opera and his quintuplets are all named after musical terms, counter, cadenza, cabaletta, and gala. And at 800 centimeters, Charlotte Praline is the tallest of Big Mom's children, period. Brule is the only protagonist to ever correctly clock Chopper as a reindeer instead of calling him a tanuki and being correct. Even though Noble Croc has an aversion to eating human, he's very excited to try mink. Pound's favorite food is fittingly pound cake. Sanji's actually the only Vinsmoke child that Judge shares his hair color with, despite disowning him. And although Pudding has stated other Charlotte siblings have had children of their own, Capone Piss is Big Mom's only confirmed grandchild so far. Perospero's name comes from the Japanese licking sound effect, pero pero pero, and the character Perospero from Shakespeare's The Tempest as well. Charlotte Cracker and Frankie are the only characters whose current bounty posters don't display their real faces. King Baum's name is fitting, as Baum is the German word for tree. And he's actually engaged to the hottest One Piece character, easily, Lady Tree. Now, despite his status as a Sweet Commander, Snack's full appearance has only been shown in the anime. The Vinsmoke servants Cosette and Epony are both named after characters from Les Miserables. Sora's English voice actress is married to Yonji's English voice actor. Germa66 giant carriage-pulling cat is named Nyasha. Nya is kind of, a cat sound pun thing, you get it. Katakuri was originally meant to have a flower logia fruit because it's cornstarch in Japanese, but Oda then ended up changing his fruit into a mochi-based special paramecia. And again, the name Katakuri, which is, a type of flower or starch from a plant, as well as his job as Minister of Flower, remain from his original concept. Smoothie is the only Sweet Commander to not be defeated by a supernova, with Urouge defeating Snack and Luffy defeating Cracker and Katakuri. Charlotte Anana is the youngest of all the Charlotte siblings. The caterpillar riding Charlotte Anglaise was voted as the favorite younger brother by all his older siblings. Dolce and Draghi are based on a combination of Tweedledee and Tweedledum from Alice in Wonderland, and possibly Humpty Dumpty. And the twins Joscarpone and Mascarpone are based on mascarpone cheese, but Joscarpone is combined with the word jose, which is the Japanese word for female. Because female. And I gotta say, who can blame Oda? He has too many characters that need naming. The quadruplets Mukuru, Mobile, Marble, and Maple are long-arm human hybrids. D-Chat is named after the Japanese word for a cat tongue cookie. Wiro is named after the Wiro, a cake similar to mochi. Charlotte Normandy is half-dwarf, though she resembles a fairy, matching the term Dressrosens use for the dwarfs as well. Nyuichi, Nyuni, Nyusan, Nyushi, Nyugo, and then for some reason Nutmeg, Akimek, Almeg, Harumak, and Fuyumak are decuplets, with 10 being the highest number of kids that Big Mom had at the same time, which, why and how? Sanji's guard is only referred to as Eggplant Soldier by Mondor and not given a real name, poor guy. According to Beppo, his older brother Zeppo's name means handsome in the Mink language. Daqua is named for a type of French dessert cake. Kato, Kanten, and Mombi are triplets, though Mombi is sadly left out of being a minister, since Kato is the minister of seeds and Kanten is the minister of agar, because that's the Japanese word for you get it. Charlotte Nusstorte, Buskate, and Dosmarsch are triplets again, Nusstorte being nutcake in Germany, which sounds wrong saying it in English. And Melisse may be named after the French term Carmelise. I'm so not confident in the pronunciation of these French words. Oof. Loki's imprisonment resembles the mythological Loki, who was imprisoned for his murder of the Norse god Balder. Streusen is likely named after dessert topping Streusel, in German again, sprinkles. Lufeld is known as the Lone Shark King and the God of Fortune. Cinnamon and Citron are long-leg hybrids like their older triplet Smoothie. Compote is Big Mom's oldest daughter, and despite the wedding guest's weapon being confiscated, Druk Piccolo is allowed to keep his scythe for some reason, I guess. For the aura, I guess. I don't know. Gibson the Warehouse Man is known as the Concealer, but Jigra's job as an organ dealer was a lot scarier until he met Big Mom's wrath in the end too. But Deep Sea Currents Umid is also known as the Shipping King, which I'm called on my secret anime shipping channel as well. Mother Caramel is named for the Caramelites, a Catholic religious order known for selling sweets in Japan. Katakuri, Daifuku, and Oven are all triplet brothers, and Marinette and Mozart are twin sisters. And you might be able to tell who Angel and Custards are triplets with by their purple hair. their triplets with the Sweet Commander Cracker. Noisette's name could be a reference to a number of foods. It's a name for a piece of lean meat, a coffee beverage, a term for browning butter, and a French word for hazelnuts. One name with so many puns. But Saint Mark's name isn't a food item because his name is based on Saint Mark Holdings, a Japanese company that operates several restaurants and cafes in the country here. In the manga, the twins High Fat and Tablet were defeated by Nami's Lightning, but in the anime they were defeated by Jinbei and Carrot respectively instead. Taking away from, my queen Nami, how dare the anime people. Zucotto is named after an Italian dessert made by soaking a sponge cake in liquor, which fits well since he is the Minister of Alcohol, which is incidentally what my friends call me on Friday nights. Broly is Brulee's twin sister, and Campo and Lauren are also twins. The giant 80, who Big Mom accidentally injures, is named but never pictured. Gerd was the first female giant to be named in the series, and Jarul and Jorul's names likely come from Jarl, a Norse word meaning chieftain. Raiden is either named after wrestler James Raiden or the mecha anime Brave Raiden. And Road is probably also named after the wrestling duo the Road Warriors. Pandora is the only known homie not created by Big Mom, but instead by Mother Caramel. Victoria here is Kid and Killer's secret childhood crush revealed in the SBS. Bavarois is twins with the Sweet Commander Snack. Flampay is the youngest Big Mom officer and was voted the favorite youngest sister by most of her siblings. And in his anime debut, Charlotte Brownie has a completely different appearance from his actual design. Looks like we were tripping there, boys. Jacquard is named after a Jacquard sponge, an almond flavor sponge cake, while Yuen is likely named after the sweet Chinese dumpling called a tangguan. Charlotte wafers, raisin, and nougat are named after exactly the treats that you think they are named after, and in the anime, Choi Boast is given speaking lines about taking revenge on Luffy, but he doesn't talk at all in his manga debut whatsoever. The octopus mermaid hybrid Prim is Praline's twin, and Panna here is named after the Italian dessert panna cotta, finishing off our exhaustive list of all 85 of Big Mom's children. What the hell? So, with all of the Whole Cake Island characters out of the way, Oda decided to give me a little bit of a break with the Reverie, where he only introduces 40 characters? Ugh. Alright, following the trend of giants named after wrestlers, Goldberg's name probably comes from Bill Goldberg. Vice Admiral Draw and Ensign Isuka are Marines who chased the Spade Pirates in the Ace Light novel. Galley of the Crescent Moon Pirates debuted in the Romance Dawn one-shot, but only became canon One Piece characters at the end of Whole Cake Island. Belly Betty's appearance is based on the Eugene Delacroix painting Liberty Leading the People. Lindbergh is named for the aviator and inventor Charles Lindbergh. Morley is the second giant known to have eaten a devil fruit after San Juan Wolf. Peachbeard's laugh, Momo ha ha ha, contains the word Momo, the Japanese word for peach or pink, which of course we also see in Momonosuke's name, Peach Boy, basically, which by itself is a reference to Momotaro, the, kid in the legend who, was born from a peach. The princesses of the Roshuan Kingdom are modeled after Matryoshka dolls, and their names are Matriosaka, Matryosuka, Matrioseka, and Matryosoka. Aramaki/Green Bull is based on the Japanese actor Yoshio Harada, specifically in the movie Ronin Guy, playing a character named, and you won't guess this, Aramaki. Very fitting. Mororon's name is based on Morocco, and her quote is taken from the movie Casablanca, which is set in the Moroccan city of the very same name, and by the way, a very good movie. You should watch it. Despite Takos' very stereotypical appearance, his quote is based on real-life Mexican revolutionary Emiliano Zapato. Bello Betty's deputy commander Ahiru was the first known female cyborg in the story, and Lindbergh's deputy commander Gambo's name is based on Gamble since he loves placing bets. Morley's deputy commander Ushiano is a cattle mink, again with the word ushi meaning cow, that has the spot pattern of a Holstein cow. The king of the Samba kingdom, Moqueca, wears a hat reminiscent of performers in the Brazilian carnival celebration. The Ringo kingdom's name means apple, but their king Nashi's name actually means pear in Japanese. Mari of the Chaco kingdom is likely based on the Czech Republic. Sauce is the king of the Jambalaya kingdom. It's kind of unclear if his kingdom is based on a real country, but the food jambalaya is very heavily associated with the US state of Louisiana. Is there also a country in One Piece modeled after Arkansas? Maybe. That would be wild to see. Nagi is the queen of the Jinja Ball Kingdom. and Kuren rules over the Cameroon Kingdom. Jeep and Wheel both follow a car theme and are the king and prince of the South Fire Kingdom. But they're not alone because the ruler of the Nagagutsu Kingdom is Ferrari, another car brand. And his son Tritobu is named after a specific Ferrari model, the Tribotu. Imu's identity is so secret that their voice actor is credited with question marks in the anime, which is hilarious. And back to the food-named leaders now. Lemon Cheese is the queen of Bestland Kingdom. Raccoon was a pirate captain defeated by the Whitebeard pirates in the Ace Light novel. Queen Dowager Connie's favorite food is strawberry sherbet, which makes sense because she's from the Sorbet Kingdom. Yes, I do know that sherbet and sorbet are technically different desserts. Don't at me, you get it. Stroganoff's Beef Kingdom appears to be based on Russia, much like the Roshoan Kingdom. Potofu's face can only be seen in certain manga prints, but not in the Japanese or English versions. This is actually the main reason we first got his name reveal in the anime episode credits, which is actually also the case for Samosa's name. But with that, it's now time for the really big one, Wano. This is One Piece's longest arc and the one with the most new named characters by far. By far, we're talking over 200 in fact. Hiyori shares her alias Kumurosaki with a real-life oiran named Miuraya Komurasaki. This Minatomo's name is written in kanji, unlike his identical East Blue relative whose name is just written in regular hiragana. There's a difference in Japanese, it's a lot simpler. Also, not to be confused with Otama, Tama here is a sphinx that fittingly lives on Sphinx Island, who's owned by Oide. The toad that hangs out on Usopp's head in Wano is named Gama Pyonosuke. Robin's geisha trainer Tsugaru Umi here is named after a genre of shamisen music, shamisen being this instrument right here. Giro Chintaro's name is a play on the Japanese pronunciation of guillotine since he was tasked with beheading Zoro. Whereas the actual culprit and serial killer Toyama Tsujigiro's name is actually based on Tsujigiri, a practice of testing a sword's effectiveness against human opponents. Hihimaru is referred to as a baboon, but his color resembles a Japanese snow monkey a lot better. Komachio is based on guardian Komainu statues, these mythical dogs that guard Shinto shrines. They're everywhere here in Japan. In an SBS, Oda also confirmed that Otama is in fact a Kurozumi, making her the last surviving member of her clan. And many fans were actually able to predict that Tengoyama Hitetsu was Kozuki Sukiyaki very early on due to them sharing a voice actor in the anime. Bumbuku the teapot here is the only known inanimate object that's not a weapon that has eaten a devil fruit. The waiters are beast pirates who are still waiting their turn to eat a smile devil fruit, and their names are Masui, Pudos, Iributsu, Donanoyo, Nokoti, Uwatsura, Neoko, Hippan, Nate, Nodoi Wakan, and yeah, that's it. That's all of them. Kotetsu, the swordsmith who crafted the Nidai Kitetsu, was named after a real Japanese swordsmith named Nagasone Kotetsu. Otsuru's appearance is modeled after people in the ukiyo-e painting style that you can see right here, very famous. In the 7th One Piece fan poll, Kikunojo was actually ranked as the most popular of the 9 red scabbards. The sumo wrestler here, Urashima, has tattoos, but in real life, sumo wrestlers are actually not allowed to have any. Many of the gifters are named with their smile animal and then just man, starting with the hilariously named Batman and also including Gazelle Man, Mouse Man, Snake Man, who shares his name with one of Luffy's Gear 4th forms by the way, Rabbit Man, Alpaca Man, Medallion Man, Hawk Man, Beetle Man, and also Horseman. The lion in Hold'em's stomach is named Kamijiro and his mane resembles a poker chip that would be used in the game Texas Hold'em. Bellamy's flag dyeing teacher is named Zerizawa after real-life textile designer Keisuke Zerizawa. These craftsmen who Urashima demands a cooked tanuki from are named Wakasa and Hiroshi. The tanuki in question, by the way, is named Saikoro. The sumo announcer Ikaku shares his name with a Heart Pirates member actually, and the doctor at the sumo ring is named Yokan. And the wrestler who retrieves Kiku is named Atagoyama. Oyama here is a mother with 2 children, however only one of them is actually named Kimbo. Inuichi Banosuke is an Igumi firefighter who actually likes entertaining more than putting out fires, and the names Ashura Doji and Shuten Maru are likely both references to the Oni Shuten Doji from Japanese mythology. Sarahebi is an alternate name for the yokai Nureonna, a snake with a woman's head, and Sarahebi students are named Ginosuke and Chihaya. Here's a fun one. The anime opening Over the Top hinted that Kyoshiro was Denjiro way before that reveal was ever made in the series. Hara is named after the sound effect hara hara for anxious shaking that, he does while listening to Kyoshiro's speech. Kawamatsu surviving off of poison fish makes a lot of sense since he is a pufferfish fishman, pufferfish themselves are of course poisonous. Toki is the only known female member of the Roger Pirates and also dates back to the Void Century, and the samurai ally Kurosawa was accidentally shown 2 places at once, arrested in Rasetsu town and in the planning meeting about the rendezvous point before he should have been liberated by Denjiro. The anime then changed this and gave, some of his lines to Jibuemon instead here. Some of the other named samurai who've been waiting over 20 years for the Kozuki clan's return include Kagero, Tabuhachiro, Ukon, Hidayu, Monjiro, Yujiro, Kakunoshin, and Kojuro. Shinobu's least favorite food is boiled dishes. Mine would be too if I had to watch a man get quite literally boiled alive. There's this scene in Shogun where they do this. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Disgusting. Ashura Doji's bull is named Home, which gives us at least 2 named bulls in One Piece, not counting Zone Minks and Water 7 bulls, but that's still more than expected. Some victims of Ashura Doji's raid on Okobore town include the old woman Chocho and the old man Gorobe. Blackbeard also gained a lot of new followers after the time skip, including Kikipatsu, Tori, and Maki. Those last 2 are a play on the word Torimaki, the Japanese word for hanger-ons or entourage, and King's first anime appearance in one of the openings gave him white wings, which then had to be corrected later to actually be black. Oh, and though not revealed in the series, a Weaver card gives Queen's birth name as Cyan, as in scientist. Kamekichi, the newspaper delivery man name, included the word Kame, meaning turtle, because his bowl cut does look like a turtle shell. In episode 918, Dotaku is just called Old Man in the credits instead of his actual name. The arms trader who worked with Orochi both have pun names as well. Waru no Fushiro's name comes from a phrase meaning pretending to be evil, Waru no Fushi, because he's secretly against Orochi's reign. However, Akudai Kanzaburo's name comes from a phrase meaning evil officer. Hyogoro is the shortest adult man in the series, the only shorter adult being Miss Buckin. The Flower Capital gangsters who try to extort Sanji are named after the tale of Mitokomon. It tells the story of Tokugawa Mitsukuni, who Kuni is named after, and his 2 retainers, Suke and Kaku, who are the names of Kuni's men, giving One Piece its 2nd Kaku. Yay! Toko notes that her name does not start with an O like many other women do in Wano, and this is because the word otoko means man, which she is not. The Kamuro named Takao shares her name with multiple generations of high-ranking courtesans in Yoshiwara, one of the Edo period's most famous red light districts. The con artists who are swindled by Komurasaki are named Bongo, Bungo, and Bingo, which I love. Another miscredited character is Sandayu here, Kumorosaki's bodyguard, who was just listed as subordinate in episode 921. And Wano has also 2 characters named Hanji, one being a shopkeeper and the other one a prisoner in Udon prison. Then in what essentially amounts to a Zelda fetch quest, the previous owners of the blueprints for Onigashima were in order Kumagoro, Kobe, Kisegawa, Tokijiro, and then Rakuta. Yasue takes inspiration from several Japanese legends, especially the story of Tori Sunemon rallying his allies during his execution. Page 1 is the only member of the Flying Six who never uses a weapon or any other name techniques. Koito, who gives Zoro clean water in Ebisu Town, shares her name with a real-life river in Japan. Soba Shop Ona Asachiji's scene is extended in the anime with page 1 threatening to eat him and his wife, which, chill bro. And the Oniwabanshu is named after the Oniwaban, which are shinobi employed by the shogun in feudal Japan. They include the characters Fukuro Kuju, Daikoku, Raijin, Kazekage, Fujin, Hanzo, Chome, Jigoku Benten, Sarutobi, Sugamichi, Bishamon, Yazaemon, and Warazane. And, fittingly, several of these ninjas share their name with many characters from Naruto. Fukurokuju is named for one of the 7 lucky gods of Japanese mythology, who also has a super elongated head as well. Inokai comments to Kyoshiro about how he tamed Kumurasaki, fitting for a character whose name means dog keeper. Tsurue Monosuke is a Machi Bogyo, a historical term for an official who leads a group of samurai. Onimaru is the only mythical zone user without ties to the Marines, warlords, or the Empress. The Ebisu Town citizens who ate the defective smile fruits and lost their ability to express emotions other than happiness include Azuki, Gendin, Noriko, Saki, and Han. Dachoman here is the only other gifter who uses the Japanese name for his animal in his name, Dacho meaning ostrich in Japanese. Hoisasa is a Japanese exclamation when lifting a heavy object, kind of like the English heave-ho, which makes sense since Hoisasa carries Orochi's palanquin. The Shimotsuke retainer Jigoku Kamabuta Megentan Panchiro's name has the highest number of kanji in any One Piece character in the story, and took me a few tries to get right, and even now I'm not 100% sure I did. Tsunagoro is the only Yakuza leader who retained his actual silhouette from his introduction. In the anime credits, the Yakuza members Hareji and Zangirimaru were called Tetsu and Joe respectively. And the samurai Uzuki Namida's name means tears, which match his tearful expression during his debut. The Beast Pirate Samurai Gangaru and Garudan are both named after knockoff Gundam model kits, while fellow Beast Pirate Samurai Hatsume is named after a fictional Konoichi from the novel Sekigahara, and her teammates Himuro and Hote are both named after members of the Japanese rock band Bowie. The three Kurozumi retainers who oversee prisoners are again puns and named Dashite Yaro, Hikomitsu Kumai, and Tamike Bao. And the remaining Yakuza leaders are named Omasa, Cho, Yatape, and Kurokama. Shimotsuki Oshimaru was Zoro's great uncle, and the numbers were attempts at recreating ancient giants and follow a number scheme with their names. They include Imbi, Fuga, Zanki, like Ichi, Imbi, Futatsu, Fuga, Zan, 3, Zanki, Jaki, Goki, Roki, Nanagi, Hacha, Kunyun, and Juki. They're basically kind of like the lame version of the tailed beast. And the shipwright who helps Frankie in Wano is named Gatten Shoin Sosuke-o, which means leave it to me. The names of the siblings Jugemu Jumeguko and Chokume no Chosuke come actually from a Japanese comedy called Jugemu about a child with a ridiculously long name. And I gotta say, even though I speak Japanese and I am in Japan right now, reading these long names out loud is kind of giving me a little bit of trouble at this point. But let's keep going. Shinobu's older brother is named Shinosuke. In SPS 92, Oda drew a personified version of the Wado Ichimonji, and it bears a strong similarity to its swordsmith, Shimotsuki Kozaburo. Rox Dizabek's name comes from Zabek, which is a type of sailing ship. Ochoku, or Wangzi, was a former ruler of Hachinosu before Blackbeard took over during the Rocky Port incident. The Marine Vice Admiral Nazuke Tagari is a pun on a phrase that means want to name someone. He's in charge of giving Marines their epithets, by the way, which, makes sense. Much like the Gifter's man naming scheme also, some female members follow a very similar rule, with Agea Woman, Scorpion Lady, Cayman Lady, Night Crab Girl, Bee Girl, and Kamakiri Girl. Odin's slice against the mountain god was so clean and precise that they were able to stitch him back together, allowing the creature to survive, which, anime logic, I guess. The mountain god's child is named Koyama, which actually just means small mountain or hill. And in the manga, Banzaburo actually grows a beard over the course of 21 years, and in the anime, he just looks identical in both time periods instead. Katsuzo, the man whose remains Odin uses to boil a pot of Odin, was a Yakuza in life as well. The reason that Fukurokujo hates Raizo has been revealed in an SBS, and it kind of relates to him misinterpreting his younger sister's Fukumi's love for the ninja instead. The former ruler of the Mings, Hitsugi Sukan's name comes from a combo of the word for sheep, Hitsuji, and Genghis Khan, which is funny because that's also a dish that uses roasted lamb in Japan and Hokkaido. And Orochi supporters Kurozumi Zimimaru and Higurashi both have names related to cicadas in Japan. Groose was given his signature long-billed cap by his mother because he had a tendency to look down while walking as a child, and it prevented him from bumping into things. Sword member Kujaku is Vice Admiral Tsuru's granddaughter. Hana is one of the women kidnapped by Orochi in Odin's flashback. Black Maria here is the only Flying Six member who's originally actually from Wano. At 38 years, Who's Who is the oldest of the Flying Six, and Sasaki is the only non-human member, being a fishman. Ulti, on the other hand, is the only member not shown to have a tattoo. The gorilla attached to the gift of Mizerka has his own name, Gorishiro. Nokokua Police is the only non-supernova headliner whose name does not match a card game at all. Yamato's name means Great Harmony and is an ancient name for Japan itself, and also for a period, and also for a prefecture and a city. There's a lot of Yamato in Japan. Many of the gifters that serve Black Maria are modeled after yokai such as Tenjo Sagari, Nureonna, Bisho Nureonna, Yamanaba, and Wanyudo. Bataman also follows the animal plus man naming scheme of the other fellow gifters, but uses the Japanese word for grasshopper, Bata. Caucasus Man also seems to not follow the trend at first, unless you know enough entomology to know the Caucasus beetle. A Chochin is a type of paper lantern, making Chochin Man the only gifter who follows the man naming scheme but is not named after any animal. The remaining gifters who don't fit in with the typical naming scheme include Koshi Falcon, Jumper, Red Wolf, and Saitang. Then, since the homie Hira's birthday is given as March 17th, we can infer that the raid on Onigashima was also on March 17th, because that's when Big Mom created her. Several of the Kid Pirates have a music or punk theme. Gig for a band performance, dive for a stage dive, mosh, UK matches the Sex Pistols song Anarchy in the UK, Rack is named after the bassist for the Japanese punk band Friction, and Papas is either named after the Mamas or the Papas or the punk band Papas Fritas. Jaguar is very likely named after the Fender Jaguar guitar, and Quincy is named after legendary music producer Quincy Jones. Compo is an abbreviation for composition and is often confused with the very similar looking Kid Pirate Moai, while Disc J is short for disc jockey or just DJ. And some other Kid Pirates are named for music subgenres like Pomp for pump rock, Bubblegum for bubblegum pop, House for house music, Boogie, Hip, and Hop for hip hop, you get the idea. And the Kid Pirate member Emma doesn't have a clear musical reference, but could be named after Emma Anderson from the shoegaze band Lush. And if so, then damn, Oda didn't know you like to rock out like that. The former two daimyos, Uzuki Tempura and Fugitsu Omusubi, both follow the food-themed names of Wano, with Omusubi being another name for onigiri rice balls, and tempura just being like fried veggies and stuff like that. Kazembo is named after a yokai based on a monk engulfed in flames. The geisha Some and her pat Rachuji reference the novel Onna Kyokaku Komachi no Osome, where a woman named Osome is accompanied by a gentleman thief named Korofune Chuji. Uta is the only known female member of the Red Hair Pirates and the first female main antagonist of a One Piece movie. The kanji in Big Mom's homie Misery means 3,000 leagues, a reference to the anime 3,000 Leagues in Search of Mother. The Wano master of tea ceremonies, Senorikyuru, is named after Sen Norikyu, a historical tea master who had a great influence on Japanese tea tradition and culture. And believe me, I could use some tea because turns out a roughly 3+ hour video is kind of rough on the vocal cords. But we're trying to stay in the game. Alright, and we're not even close to done yet because it's onwards now to Egghead Island. We're starting off with Tensei, the head of the Marine Bureau of Investigations, who goes with his alias Kurouma, which means black horse. Like the admirals, he has a color and an animal alias, and also is based on a famous Japanese actor, Akira Kobayashi. The code names of the Seraphim are named after the animals associated with the original Chichibukai: snake for Boa, hawk for Mihawk, shark for Jimbei, bear for Kuma, flamingo for Doflamingo, gecko for Gecko Moria, and crocodile for Sir Crocodile. Mecha Shark here has a large number 3 on it, implying it's the same series as Vega Force 1, which itself may be named after the Air Force 1, the name of the aircraft for the US president. Doll's name can also be read as Dole, a type of canine or dog found in Asia, which would match with the dog naming trend of the Marines overall. Hibari is the only non-canon Marine sniper, and all of Vegapunk satellites aren't just named after mythology or scientists, they also come from the names of craters or meteorites. Lilith and Shaka share the names with asteroids, though Lilith is also like the primordial demon. Edison, Pythagoras, and Atlas are all creators on Earth's moons, and there's a famous meteorite called the Cape York meteorite as well. The robot dog Recycle One is again named for the onomatopoeia of a dog barking, one as Oda uses in many dog-related puns. Edison's cat assistant is named Yoshu, which is the Japanese word for assistant. Emmet's name means truth in Hebrew, which is the word inscribed on the legendary golem to bring it to life. And we can also infer that at some point there was a character in One Piece named Ebel, who the Ebel Peace Prize is named after, very much like the real-world Alfred Nobel. Marine Captain Rattle closely resembles fellow corrupt Marine Nezumi, though the two aren't confirmed to have a relation, but Rat and Nezumi, which means rat in Japanese, kinda checks out. Yaneno Chinode is the fashion reporter for the World Economic Journal. Her name means, "Are you okay with mine?" Referring of course to her lending Vivi her clothes. Zoro's family tree was revealed in an SBS very randomly and included his grandparents Roronoa Pinzoro and Shimotsuke Furiko, and his parents Roronoa Arashi and Terra. According to the SBS, Sengoku also loves the rice crackers made by a character named Ayase Mar, which are now sold at Marine headquarters. Vice Admiral Hound originally had blonde hair and red glasses in the anime, but these were then later changed to red hair with blue glasses. Gitin can also use the blade on his head as a boomerang. Red King's name and design are based on an Ultraman kaiju. The weak captains that ally with Shanks are Ballfingers, Girotini, Memorial Blade, Fugar, Trembling Pururu, Igniting Lenaria, and Crone Oli. Karasu's deputy, Jiron, takes his appearance from Jiren Amos, the protagonist of Combat Mecha Xabungle. Jabungle? I don't know. You tell me. The celestial dragon who has his gun stolen by Karasu is named Pluming. Vivi takes after her ancient ancestor, Nefatari di Lily, being both a D and a founding member of the world government, mirroring Vivi's status as a monarch, while also being an honorary member of the Straw Hats. And according to Oda, if Garling continued growing his beard and hair, they would at some point form a complete full circle. Vice Admiral Tosa is named after a breed of Japanese fighting dogs, fitting in with the canine naming theme for the Marines, and joining him is Pomsky, which is the name of a hybrid dog breed between a Pomeranian and a Husky. Tsuru considers Bluegrass to be like an older sister, and Vice Admiral Urban uses a cannon fruit, and he's named after a Hungarian cannon engineer from the medieval period. Clap and Kuma's Buccaneer race is named after a type of privateer. Ginny's position as commander of the East in the Revolutionary Army stayed vacant for 8 years before Bello Betty took the spot. How can I help you, good sir? You just wanted to come into the room. And now you want to leave again? Cats. He didn't want to stay till the end. How rude. Where was I? Alright. Like Pekori, the Satan worshipper, Sorbet Kingdom's Bekori's name also comes from the word to bow down, referencing his servitude towards the celestial dragons. The current Sorbet King Bulldog is Connie's son. And in an SBS, Oda revealed that the Marine headquarters employs 4 head chefs, but we only know of the winter chef, Komakov. There are also 2 giant warrior pirates named Björn and Seek, but it's not been specified which of the giants they actually are. And for our last set of characters, we've now finally made it to Elbaf/God Valley, which, fun fact, in the process of making this video, Oda kept introducing even more characters, so I've had to just keep adding on week by week by week, and it's been kind of this project I've been trying to catch up to. So yeah, now that you're seeing this is the final list at this point. By the point you're watching this, it might already, be like 50, 100, 1,000 new characters, who knows. Let's get into it. Oda's revealed that Isho's supreme great blade, the Yakuza Kasen, was smithed by a Wano swordsmith named Fugetsu Kisaburo. And also only revealed in an SBS was Hanafuda, who was the former warlord who got defeated by Ace, then making room for Kuma. Another SBS reveal was Tritoma, the Empress of Amazon Lily, that followed Chakuyaku. And there are many giant animals that Road keeps in the Land of Gods in Elbaf: Glot Bunny the rabbit, the Needle God Porcupine, and Iskat the cat, for example. And in particular, the giant snake Hilmungander is named after the Norse serpent Jormungandr, and the raven Mugin is a combination of Odin's ravens, Hugin and Munin. However, the giant old Piper here follows the wrestling theme of the giants, sharing a name with professional wrestlers Roddy Piper and Piper Niven. Harold shares his name with several Norse kings, including Harold Bluetooth. Yes, that's his real name. And according to the SBS, the Gorosei's outfits are tailored by fashion designer Nyornyo Nyarmani, a cat mink whose name is based on, of course, Giorgio Armani. Speaking of fashion, the type of hat that Angi wears is called a chupala. Bjorn, the student here, shares his name with an unidentified member of the giant warrior pirates. Skaldi could either be named for the Norse poet Skald or Skadi, the North goddess of mountain hunting. Ylva shares her name with a Vicky the Viking character, a series which was a great inspiration to Oda when creating One Piece. Aegir's name comes from a Jotun in Norse mythology, one of the ice giants. Ripley is also named after a professional wrestler, Rhea Ripley. Biblo the owl is the series' first animal to eat a non-zone devil fruit, and Gunko's name translates to army child, or child of the army. Now, assuming that Cerberus is a sword that ate a Cerberus fruit, it would appear to be the first inanimate object to have awakened its own devil fruit. Shepherd Summer's name implies that he's somehow related to Saint Shepherd Jupiter of the Gorosei. Killingham is so far the only awakened zone fruit user on the side of the world government, whose cloud ribbon is light-colored instead of black. The children's fears that killing him awakens with his devil fruit create monsters based on Jormungandr, Fenrir, Nika, Loki, Ghost, Stroggr, a Storm, Nidhogger, and Mom, the most infamous of them all. The gym teacher Wolf is named for and resembles wrestler Gary Wolf, and the math teacher Blade is named for another wrestler, Jesse Gilmet, better known as the Blade. The student Mag is probably named after the Norse name Magnus or Thor's son Magni. Ronja is named for the title character of the Swedish fantasy book Ronja the Robber's Daughter. Olaf is the grandson of Oimo. Bent is named for a Danish contraction of the name Benedictus. Urashima's older brother and fellow sumo wrestler is named after sumo's founder Nomi no Sukune. The circus she used to be in called Ida the 10-meter woman, but Oda actually stated in an SBS that the shortest minimum height for a giant is actually 12 meters tall. Asla, the royal steed of Elbaf, had 8 legs, just like Odin's horse Sleipnir. Estrid shares her name with a real Swedish queen, Estrid of the Obotrites. The SBS also canonized this audience-suggested character, Vegapants, who's basically Vegapunk's cousin and lives on Pan's Hazard, which is hilarious that this is canon. Elbow was one of the giants who trained Hajrudin. Rox's crewmate Don Marlon is named after Marlon Brando, who famously played Vito Corleone in The Godfather. Barbell is named after the whisker-like sensory organs on Catfish. And another Rox Pirates was Gil Baster, who was also the protagonist of Oda's early series Wanted, who along with Ganzui was resurrected as a zombie on Thriller Bark. Eddie's, Blackbeard's mom, is named after the Greek goddess of discord and chaos. Holy Knight Maffy has a unique ability to fire lasers from her mouth. And thanks to the introduction of Polo Graham, we now know that the canon full name of Marco the Phoenix is actually Marco Polo. Oh, whoops, very quickly, maybe you already noticed it and put it in the comments, but I caught it first. I actually forgot 3 characters, 2 very important ones and 1 not that important, but I just realized that I should probably quickly fix that before the video comes out. First off, I missed COULDN. I somehow talked about all the other kids in the Elbaf school, but not the most important one. Yeah, and COULDN's design is possibly based on the title character in Vicky the Viking, and I also forgot about this person right here. This is Mato, who has worked on the bar in Elbaf for over 44 years. And lastly, I somehow talked about all the Elbaf stuff and all the God's Knights and the Gorosei, and I somehow forgot about this man here, Vigilant Shamrock. You think I forgot Shamrock? Well, I mean, I did. But when Shamrock was first introduced in the manga, he wasn't actually given the same title. This was only added in later during the volume 112 release. And that brings us up to date with one fact about every single named One Piece character as of chapter 1170-ish. So by my estimates, Oda has already introduced like 500 more characters by the time you watch this video. And if you caught a named character that I somehow missed, how could there be? There are so few of them. Please feel free to shout them in my face in the comments. But if you do want to get more in depth on some of these characters, you can also check out this video where I explain all 82 backstories that exist in One Piece. Otherwise, thank you for making it to the end of this video. You see some Patreons, again, if you want to support the channel and stuff like this. Check it out, there's a lot of stuff over there. But I just want to say thank you. It's insane that you watched this video. Maybe you're already asleep and that's the only reason you're still there. But if you watched till the end, please put a peace emoji into the comments and I will know that you watched till the end. Thank you so much, you're a real one. I'll see you in the next one.